Graduating from university today, Bobbies. It's Friday, boys. Wow, 11 months already. Love you all, Hassel. Thank you so much, Hassel. Hope you're having a good Friday, chat. We made it to the weekend here to a fun stream. Yo. Friday. People hate chat. Wow, fucked around and found out. This community has changed my life. Love you all 9 months vlog.
What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening, afternoon, pre-noon, no matter where you are in the world. I'm Hasan Piker, and this is the HasanAbi broadcast coming to you live from sunny California, Los Angeles. Folks, we are live, and I hope all the boys, girls, and NBs are having a fantastic one. I'm feeling fucking fantastic today. I'm gonna be honest. Hold up. Let me just see if I can fix this camera real quick. Okay, good. I am feeling fantastic. Oh, let me just move the Switch controller away. I don't want to get the Nintendo baby game fans going crazy this early, you know. Boys, I feel good, okay? And I say boys in the non-gendered way here, okay? I'm feeling really fucking good. This is part of the broadcast where I tell you about my personal news, as you all know. And personal news-wise, I ended the stream at 7 hours last night, like, or 7 hours and 40 minutes or something. Like, I have not done a stream that was that short in a very long time, for no reason other than, like, you know, not feeling too great, not feeling too hot. Usually I do like 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours. You guys know that. Twitch has been fucking up a lot, I think. So watch out. If you're getting network errors, that's Twitch related. But yeah, I
love you all.
I wanted to end the stream early. I started watching Mandalorian. And let me just say, what the fuck is with Twitch? I can't even watch the stream. Yeah, apparently Twitch's been fucking up a lot. Try Mozilla Firefox if you've been. Part 4 of Free Britney is just entirely stan content. LMAO, I can't believe I watched it. Okay, we'll avoid that then.
I bought.
So third largest company in the world can't even keep their services running smoothly. Yeah, there is definitely some issues with Twitch. I don't know what the hell's happening, but anyway, I ended the stream. Lily made you an intro on the fly. What is it? Okay, we'll look at this in a little bit. Like, hold on. You're cucking content. You're cucking content for later. This very obviously is an LSF clip. Look, it has 13,000 views already. Why are you cucking the content for later? You know what I mean? This is for LSF. Anyway. So I'll just say it like this.
Banned in chat for another 12 days, but
I watched Mandalorian, and a lot of people got mad at me on Twitter. I got like ratioed, I think. I might have actually gotten ratioed on my Twitter. Like, what the fuck? It was crazy. Like, people really love Mandalorian. Like, I said something along the lines of like, is it me or does Mandalorian suck? And I got 1.8 thousand fucking replies, dude. And it was wild. Like, people were just so mad. I did not realize that Mandalorian had a fandom like this. Like, I literally had no idea that Mandalorian was just like Mandalorian fans go fucking balls to the wall, dude. And I have a lot of them in my audience too, apparently. It's not perfect, but it's far from sucking. But to answer your question, yes, Baby Yoda makes the show.
I just realized,
except for Shroud, apparently, who said yep.
Is your back good to go?
9 volt. It's Star Wars. It is cool moments, but overall very inconsistent in quality, and the lows are fucking low. Show is definitely extremely overhyped. Trainwreck, bro, please get a haircut. That Richie Rich look is not cutting it for my hard-ons. Kind of feels like one of those fetch quests from Zelda, a Zelda game, except you're watching someone else do it in 50-minute episode increments. It's pretty though. That was actually a really good take. So I'm like, I'll just say it like this, okay? I'll say it like this. I'm not in the business of yucking other people's yum, okay? If you like Star Wars, have fun. The world is horrible, okay? Everything sucks. If that is your form of entertainment and that's what you enjoy, then that's great.
Heading to LAX back to JFK,
but people were hyping this shit up so hard that like,
love you, Hash.
At a point in time, I unironically thought like, I need to get a Disney Plus account. Like, and you know me, I don't pay for stuff like that at all.
Love you, Has.
But it made me feel like I need to get a Disney Plus account because everyone was just like losing their fucking minds over it. Right? And
happy 6 months.
I can't help but feel like it is a show entirely designed around Baby Yoda being cute. Now, I'm just going to say it like this. It's very pretty.
We're 2 months and you've taught me so much.
It is a show that is at least like relatively new and interesting in comparison to like the dog water shows that have been coming out on every platform. So I get why people were like really invested or interested in it. Star Wars IP is very powerful. My favorite thing is with Star Wars IP, I talked about this before, like the Star Wars universe is significantly more interesting than the Star Wars movies are. That's why Knights of the Old Republic is the greatest Star Wars story ever told, because the world is robust. The world is vibrant. The world is crazy. There's so many different aliens and whatnot. And yet, like, you rarely ever get to see just a normal experience in that universe. So that's really cool that, you know, the energy is there. I love bounty hunter stories too. You're a fucking space cowboy. Like, it's not going to get any better than that, right? So I came in with the biggest open mind. I came in with like a open mind, feeling good about it, thinking that it's going to be great. And to be honest, like, it's a Western sci-fi, but I didn't realize that the pacing was going to also be like one of those old Westerns, you know? Very little communication. It's just like him literally walking long distances, showing how beautiful the scenery looks. It's so slow. I'm only 3 episodes in, so, or no, I'm 4 episodes in now. So I'm going to keep watching it. I'm going to power through it. But it certainly does get very, like, it certainly does get very slow and kind of hard to watch at times.
6 months finally. Love you.
I will watch it. I am excited to watch it. I hope that it gets better. Loki is already a lot better of a show. Like, it's a space western. It's supposed to be boring. No, space westerns are fucking awesome. Space bounty hunters are fucking awesome. I love Cowboy Bebop. The quality of the dialogue is not meh. It's dog shit. I'm sorry. Carl Weathers is all right. But, dude, Mandalorian is perhaps it's some of the worst fucking dialogue I've ever seen. Like, it's so bad. It's so monotone. He's always like, yeah. Like, he is not a character. 3 episodes in, Mando is not a character. Like, he's literally just... He's not a character. Like, he is... I don't know anything. I just know that, like...
Palestine, love you, chat,
I just know that he is just a thing, an entity, a prop, okay? Like... That's on purpose, Hasan. No one sees his face. I'm so happy you were saying this because I felt like I was taking crazy pills with this show. They flesh out his character a lot more in season 2. Okay, I hope. Guys, I've been a fucking advocate for Disney Plus so far. Like, I think WandaVision was pretty good. Like, it was decent. You know what I mean? It was certainly watchable. Loki has been really good so far. I like Loki.
I replied to the tweet and said it does something never miss, and an incel replied to tell me about every bad political take you've ever had.
But so far, Mando has not lived up to the hype that I've seen. These motherfuckers going, that's the point. Just go around thinking that a fact just makes it okay to make him boring. Yeah, no. It also, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it also feels like, how do I say this? It feels... I don't know, actually. I don't know how to... It feels like an adult show, but, like, made for babies. Like, the aliens are way too fucking cute, dude. Like, what's going on? Like, why did they... Is it Star Wars for adults?
Kotor based.
It's literally Star Wars. I guess, like, it's just Star Wars. I mean, I'll be honest. Like I said, I love the world and the universe in Star Wars. I don't necessarily... I've never been a big fan of Star Wars to begin with, but... Are you getting pedo for aliens? What? No.
Yay, 2 months should have done this sooner.
It's half-baked, an adult movie for kids. I mean, like... It's not just family friendly. Dude, I watch children's shows, okay? Like, I literally will watch kids shows from time to time. Like, it just literally feels like it's just made for babies. Dude is supposed to be a crazy badass bounty hunter, has to be saved from a creature in the first episode, then captured by Jawas in the next. Yeah, like, he's not fucking cool at all. And people who are gonna say, like, that's the point, like,
4 months.
I don't know why Star Wars fans are trying to make it seem like what they're watching is subversive and edgy, by the way. It's fucking Star Wars. Just admit you like bubblegum and move on, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm not even looking for... I'm not even looking for, like, edgy, subversive commentary or content in Mandalorian. But I don't know why all of the people that are, like, attacking me are attacking me from the point of view of, like... Y'all sound like fucking Christopher Nolan fans saying that Tenet is good. Like, you're watching and consuming Star Wars, and you're getting mad at me because you're saying that, like... The character is not even one-dimensional. The character is literally zero-dimensional. Like, his backstory is also so far zero-dimensional, and then people will be like, that's supposed to be that way. Okay, You said Star Wars for adults. Shut the fuck up. I mean,
a little bit off-topic question, but I don't catch you online often. How did
I actually feel like it's just Baby Yoda being cute though. Like, and if I wasn't there, if you don't, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, it's more like a thought experiment, right? If you're not there for Baby Yoda when it first like blew up and everyone was memeing it, then you're not gonna get it. I feel like I missed out on like understanding why people were just like losing their minds over this show when it first came out. That like, because I wasn't there for the Baby Yoda memes, like I don't understand it. It's just like, yeah, he's a cute character.
Has mods.
I mean, I'm already low-key annoyed by like the backstory or just like Mandalorians in general. I feel like there's so much cool lore. Like there could be a cooler lore in general within the Mandalorian like background. Sweaty, his name is Grogu. Okay, whatever. Season 2 has more action and the lore is expanded on. All right, we'll see. I just like, that's the other thing though. The action itself, and so this will really piss you guys off, I think, but the action is so bad, dude. Like, the action sequences were so bad, dude. Like, the fighting, like the shooting, the pew 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 laser action sequences are not good at all. Like season 1 episode 2, when he like meets Baby Yoda, before he meets Baby Yoda, there's a sequence where like all of these other bounty hunters that are like there, you find out that they're bounty hunters later, but like they're all there and he has to have this like big battle and he has this robot that's supposed to be next to him, and the robot's movement is already fucking annoying. That is like personally annoying to me because like I wish it was like Weeba Hasan expects crazy shit.
11 months W, my favorite himbo. Shout out to Miami DSA.
You have to understand and appreciate the old Western movie motif. It's based all on that style. I was expecting more from Jon Favreau, who I fucking love. Okay,
I've been looking to buy one but can't decide.
I love Jon Favreau. I'm like actually kind of annoyed that it's not better.
Watch the Owl House. Star Wars is,
and it's like, it's basically like, first of all, this is the second episode from a show that came out like 2 years ago. So shut the fuck up. I'm not spoiling anything. Secondly, as far as the fight sequences goes, it just like it really felt
going to be a news reporter there. Thank you for all the content.
I don't know. It really felt like it just was so bad. Like I don't know how else to describe it.
Hasan, I love you, but Portugal news.
Name one good Jon Favreau movie. Chef, Swingers. That's it. I named 2. Can't think of any more. My cultural references are always horrible. I have terrible recall.
Please try again. Error number 2000.
I guess Iron Man, but not really. I don't really care about Iron Man that much, but Swingers and Chef are fucking certified bangers.
Tenet was awesome, just super complicated.
Have you seen real westerns like The Good, The Bad, The Ugly?
You don't love Mando, you love your father, the devil.
So, where was I? Wait, what? HasanAbi is live. War has been declared on Iran. What? That's not my fucking... That's not my stream notification. My stream notification is get in now if you're a certified week, certified freak 7 days a week. I didn't like season 1, but my cousin convinced me to stick it through. I'm glad he did because season 2 is a whole different show in a good way. Okay. Anyway, where was I? So I look. I did Mandalorian. Okay. I watched it. It's all right. It's not for me that much. I'm gonna keep watching it. Hopefully it gets better. But I went to sleep at 10:30 last night, which was fucking awesome. That's what I wanted to talk about. I went to sleep. Objectively wrong take, but okay, dude. Oh my god, Star Wars fans are, I think, some of the most annoying fucking people on the planet, dude. Like, there is no objective. I straight up started. I opened by stating that, like, you might like it. I'm not yucking your yum. It doesn't feel like it's for me, and I'm describing to you why I didn't like it. And you guys are fucking literally worse than weebs, dude. At least weebs have some sense of decency to know that they're fucking freaks, okay? So they don't, like, go balls to the wall about whatever kind of weird, like, lolly shit that they enjoy watching. Oh my god, I just realized. I realized why I despise some of the Star Wars freaks in my fucking audience. Because you're like sports weebs. Your weebdom has been normalized. We have to start bullying Star Wars nerds right now. And sports nerds. But we can't do it with sports nerds because some of them are fucking jocks and have, like, domestic abuse charges and shit. So they'll beat the shit out of us. But Star Wars nerds, we can actually do that too. Because they're just as nerdy and fat and out of shape as we are. So I just realized, like, I think bullying keeps people from being, like, balls to the wall, over the top weebs. So whenever there are like whenever a certain fandom gets normalized, and Star Wars is like normie stuff, people behave in ways that are insane. And sports fans do this all the time. And I shit on sports fans all the time in here. Politics weebs know that, like, what we do is never going to gain popularity. So we just know that. I guess Marvel stans are like that too, but I haven't really talked about Marvel stans before. So the average Star Wars fan, what is this? Oh yeah, I love this video.
Is that the bloody weed Jedi? I was...
Who you calling weed, jackass?
You realize the meta for the last 6 years is just a hate on Star Wars? I don't realize, because I don't care. Like, I literally I've stayed out of, like, the Star Wars discourse because I haven't watched any of the movies. Like, I haven't watched any of the new movies. Like, I don't care. I don't care if it's, like, SJW shit or if it's got too many women or whatever the fuck. Like, I don't care either way. Do you understand? I don't participate in it at all. And I watched it. I watched Mandalorian because, like, I saw so much overwhelming love and joy. That I thought it was going to be fucking, you know, incredible.
What you want? Dodging?
Does that answer your question?
Use my weekend.
I've seen the iDubbbz doc on him. It was pretty good. But yeah, listen, boys, like, I'm telling you, like, I'm on your side. I want to be on your side. I love nerdy shit. Okay? I fucking sit around and do nothing and watch movies and TV shows. So why the fuck do you think I have like a personal agenda to like shit on Star Wars or something? Like you're making it seem like I'm coming at this from like a genuine point of anger or something, when it's just that I had higher hopes. And I'm still, by the way, I'm also stating that I still believe it can get better. So I am going to watch it. I haven't gotten to the Bill Burr episode yet. Feel me? Oh, God. This is from Ninjite. Politics nerds, Star Wars fans. That's cool that Ninjite is a Star Wars fan. That's it. Throw the whole franchise in the trash, okay? Ninjite is, of course, the most obsessive stan in this entire community. So now that we know he's also a Star Wars weeb, then, you know, that's it. There's nothing else that you need to say other than, you know, okay, that's a permanent L. It's like having Ted Cruz be your fucking senator. You know what I mean? It's a stain on your reputation in perpetuity. I'm going to get Margot to talk shit on Star Wars to have Ninjite lose his mind. Chat, if the stream is constantly fucking crashing, that's because Twitch is fucking up. Have you seen the animated stuff? The Clone Wars? Not really. How excited are you for this weekend's G4 event? Very excited. I'm excited to see all these people that I hung out with recently. I missed them already. You're the only one having issues? Wait, really? No, I don't have issues on my end. It's not acting out for me. What? Why do people just fucking lie, dude? Why? Like, why is it that you're just, you clearly didn't go to like other people's fucking streams and shit. You're just literally lying. Like, you just came in here and you decided to be like a liar, which is not cool. Lol, attention. What do you mean? Yeah, I know, but it's fucking annoying. Like, I hate it. Oh. Okay, Derek Chauvin's sentencing is happening right now, but like, I don't know what you're gonna get out of that. Twitch is fucked in some regions. It's not any streamer's fault. Tell them to shut the fuck up. Yeah, like. It's especially because like there's nothing I can do about it. It's like not on my end. I am constantly monitoring my upload bit rate, and it's fine on my end. Okay, so stop. Just like stop fucking posting it in the chat. It's like gonna make me rage quit the stream early today. Seriously, I was in such a fucking good mood, dude, when I started. Why? Why does it have to be this way? Okay, we're done talking about fucking Mandalorian. It doesn't matter. I worked out this morning. I slept from 10:30. I don't know why I immediately woke up at 3 a.m., but I went back to sleep, woke up at like 6:30. I was in a really great fucking mood because I got good. I got a good night's sleep for once. I went and I worked out this morning early. Had a phone call. Like I had a good interview with someone from The Verge. And I was very excited to stream this morning until you know, I chose to say such unspeakable things like the Mandalorian series has not lived up to the hype that people have created around it from the point of view of someone who genuinely enjoys and wants to enjoy good, nerdy shit. So I apologize to the Star Wars fandom, you fucking freaks. Actually, I apologize to absolutely no one. You guys are literally fucking freaks, dude. Chill the fuck out, okay? Some people don't enjoy the stuff that you do. Don't worry. Most people enjoy the stuff that you do because it's fucking Star Wars, okay? It's literally built in a lab to make sure that you like it and you soy face over whatever next, like, a toy line is coming out, okay? I'm not attacking you as a person. I'm not attacking your fucking feelings of nostalgia. I'm not attacking your identity. Please stop associating your entire identity with your media consumption. Okay. Once you finish it, you can speak on it. Yeah, I know. Well, sometimes things are so dog shit that you don't actually fucking get to finish it. But I don't think Star Wars is like that. I have been watching it, and I will continue to watch it. Okay, let's fucking start. Okay. Daycare is open. I'm tweeting out that I'm live. Daycare is open. Done with the Mando stunlock. Tucker Carlson goes full wasp nationalism. President Joe Biden's use of the term Latinx is being discussed is such a funny fucking... is like such a funny Twitter trend. It's so stupid. I love that they got Joe Biden to say Latinx. I think it's funny. It's great. He doesn't know what the fuck that is. Anyway. He cited a really obscure label that white people gave to slaves who wanted to escape. It was a really loud dog whistle. What? Yo, dude, you planning on reacting to Fred's apology video? Fredmeister? I already did. Like, literally the day it came out. Are you going to not talk about how Americans are causing a COVID-20?
Yes, sir. It's Father's Day.
I know the Derek Chauvin sentencing is live. I don't know what you want out of me for it. Like, we're going to find out what it is and we're going to move on. I don't know why you want, like... I don't know why you want to relive the gruesome details and the play-by-play here, but... I mean, we can watch that if you want. Hold on. I'm going to text my manager, okay? My partner manager. That my stream is like buffering a lot. Everything looks fine on my end. Is this a site-wide problem? Okay. Like, there are... Yeah, people will literally be like, dude, I don't understand. No, it's just a you thing. And then you look at out the down detector and it's like, oh, wait, maybe it's not just a fucking me thing, dude. Nah, dude, it's just the you thing, bro. It's just on your stream. It's your fault. Anyway. Okay. We are aware of an issue causing video playback issues for some users. Thank you for your reports. See? There you go, guys. It's literally not just me. It is a site-wide problem. Okay? Please stop. Anyway. Wait, did I even finish my fucking tweet? No, I fucking forgot. Oh my god, I'm all over the place today. Daycare is open. Done with the Mando Stunlock. Tucker Carlson goes full WASP nationalism. We continue with the final part of Free Britney saga and dive into John. Here, I'm going to ban this person that just said, it's just your stream. I'm going to ban that person permanently, despite the fact that they are a subscriber, because I'm fucking annoyed. Okay, I hope you're happy. Get fucked. I hope you enjoy your permanent ban. Mods, do not unban them. I need you to understand. When I'm expressing that I'm fucking annoyed, if you're still trolling on purpose, like, I'm gonna literally permanently ban you. I don't care about you, okay? Petty as fuck. 8-month subscriber. Here you go. You get a week off for that, okay? Dumbass chatters. Like, it's not petty to just like be selfishly trying to derail the stream over and over again when you know it's like it thrives on back and forth conversation within the community. It's actually petty when a streamer responds to it on purpose. Like, that's the petty thing, to just like try to control my own stream and stop it from getting derailed and stream in the way that I want to stream. I should not have that kind of autonomy over this. Okay. John McAfee's life and death. Get in now. www.twitch.tv/HasanAbi. Here you go. Blast this out to your friends and family. Okay. Let's get started on
Definitely Father's Day.
Here, we'll start on something funny for a second. Here, apparently Americans are trying to create COVID-20.
Dinner. Matter of fact, a Father's Day cheese. Damn, and a new knife. Yes, sir. Just want to go and start out by cutting all this bullshit off. To get all that off, you want to go and start prepping your little condiments up. Damn. Okay, I got green peppers, tomatoes, and onions. Once you get that prepped up, you want to go ahead and plug your griddle up. Hold on, damn, it's about to get hot in here. Let me cut this. We prepped up, baby. So I had to chop up some thin slices for the steak, yes sir. But first we're gonna throw our garlic on there. So onion, green pepper, get your meat. Ooh, yes sir. And the season I got some lemon pepper, yes sir. I got my season. Stop playing. Ooh, Happy Father's Day, y'all. Yes, sir. You want to get your bread, put some butter on that bread. You want to lay that junk down. Stop playing with me. So keep stirring that meat up, cuz. Keep stirring that meat up. Damn. Don't forget, you don't want to overcook your meat. So go ahead and get your provolone on there. Yes, sir. Start smacking them junks on there. Still got the veggies cooking. While that's cooking, you want to get your hot chips. Yes, sir. Want to go and get your bread off. Woo-wee. Put that junk on top of there. Had to flip it off camera because I ain't want to mess it up. Yes, sir. So I get your pepper. Stop playing with me. Stop playing. I had to get a plate, y'all, but I got the secret sauce. Yes, sir.
Oh, this nail.
Top it out with the Cheetos, cuz. With Cheetos.
Okay, here's a man making the most with the situation that is otherwise untenable and unmanageable and unlivable. Okay, I'm not gonna shit on it too much. I mean, it's disgusting. Like the preparation sequence was disgusting in many different ways. That's like, I don't know how the fuck he's alive, but if you feel like if he hadn't prepared this in a cleaner capacity, that this shit wouldn't look absolutely delicious, you're crazy. Like, do the ends justify the means? Not really. COVID is afraid of him, man. Yeah, this guy, like, what I was thinking about was like, at least for his situation, like, he did a pretty fucking solid job. He's got some greens in there, some reds.
Cheeto, you see that car with the Cheeto, Do you want to just fold that bitch over? Yes, sir. You don't think that's a masterpiece? You tripping. Happy Father's Day.
I agree with this is worse. No, I don't know if I want to watch this, dude. This is really devastating stuff.
Yes, sir. You're straight to business.
It's just like making me uncomfortable how fucking dirty his kitchen is. It's like actually. Not gonna lie, I bet you a lot of us would buy that from a street vendor straight up. Yeah, it's like I can't like the final product looks all right, but I mean, okay, we'll watch it. We'll watch it. Hood loaded fries. Is he doing air cooking? Like the way he just like slaps it. I mean, he's doing it on purpose. The way he just like slaps the cheese onto the fucking counter, like.
Check on our fries. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Damn. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Damn. Yes, sir.
Ah!
Yes, sir. Hood way. Yes. Oh, let me get one. Hood me.
Bro, every part of this needs to be cleaned. Like, I mean, that's okay. We're done. I could be wrong, but I heard he lives somewhere else, but comes to the RV for filming content. Oh, okay. I just I feel like I said, I feel like this could be really good. It's just like if it was clean, but it's so fucking dirty. Oh my God. Okay. How do you have an air fryer and food processor but no cutting board? I just don't understand why you would just like slap that meat on your fucking dirty ass counter. Anyway. I mean, this is the opposite where it's like everything is clean.
You have your sherbet here.
This is the opposite where like everything is clean, but like the final product and the execution of it is just like purposely placed in a disgusting way. I guess the other dude is probably doing that as well. Like the other dude is probably like not really living out of an RV or anything like that anymore, but instead is just like, yeah, the toilet thing. This lady always uses the toilet for dumb shit.
Yeah. And some more sour candies.
Oh, so these are all, they just want to be sour stuff.
Yeah, so then you're going to grab your punch.
Uh-huh.
Okay? And you're just going to start loading up this tank back here. Obviously, Sprite. Yeah. You want to get your Sprite in there. Then the Fanta.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's so colorful. It's so nice. It's really nice. And then when you flush, watch what happens when you flush. Okay?
Oh, well, everything from the tank is going to go through into the sherbet and
plumbers hate her. I mean, most people do. Okay, we're done. We're done with this. Let's get to the fucking news, boys. Let's get to the freaking news, okay? Joe Biden's usage of the term Latinx is being called to question. Okay.
For people. There's a reason why it's been harder to get African Americans initially to get vaccinated. Because it used to being experimented on. The Tuskegee Airmen and others.
Why is he saying this? Like, the data doesn't back up this sentiment. Like, the data, even from day one, has not backed up the sentiment. Yeah, there are black people that don't want to get vaccinated. And yes, that, some people have pointed out to the Tuskegee syphilis experiment for it. But it's not like black people that are holding up. It's not black people holding up vaccination right now. And it's not Latinos that are holding up vaccination either. So it's kind of weird that, like, you would fall in line with that meme. You speaking for black people now, huh? Lol. No, I'm speaking for fucking data. You fucking Eagles fan bitch. Imagine naming yourself an Eagles fan. Just permanent L, dude. If you look at the actual data, you will see that the largest group of people that are not taking the vaccine or refusing to take the vaccine are not black people. Certainly, there are still, conservative black people and black people that don't want to take the vaccine too. I'm not saying that there aren't. But it's conservative white men.
People have memories. People have long memories. It's awful hard as well to get Latinx vaccinated as well. Why? They're worried that they'll be vaccinated and deported. So look, from day one, something that Governor Cooper has been totally focused on is making sure we get as many people vaccinated, particularly
Latinx
people who don't have access to health care usually, who don't have ordinary for people. There's a reason why it's been hard.
From OR, you are not right. Across the state, Latinos make up 30% of the population and 25% of COVID cases, but only 6% of vaccinations. Maybe in Oregon. Latinx. Joe Biden looks like shit in this vid. Not gonna lie, at least during the campaign he was keeping it tight. No, he looks decent from time to time. This is the new human drop named Dragon Man. That's crazy, man. Dragging these nuts across your face. Shut the fuck up, dude. Please don't say Chinese anymore either. Wait, what? Okay, dude, you just sent me an iFunny link. Like, goddamn. That's not a real thing. That's just like fucking, that's a dude who's like making a joke. Oh, you're talking about Dragon Man in China. Oh, god damn it. Unban that person. I'm sorry. Fucking Christ. I thought he was making a dragging these nuts joke. God damn it. Can one of the mods unban the last person I fucking yelled at? Yeah, the Dragon Man in China, dragging these nuts, haha. Okay.
Because I saw you, I don't know if you remember this, but we actually met briefly at Mar-a-Lago back in December of, I guess it was 2018. And I saw you that night. You had no tie on, you were relaxed, you were laughing. Like, were you ever really, really worried? Or even on the second time around? I was going to the Trump rallies in Beverly Hills, and it was a joy fest. Like, it was truly unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. And I can't wait till they start up rallies, whether you're there or not, just to get people out there and holding flags and being proud to be Americans again.
And one thing you have to say, Dave, if nothing else, I was consistent. I mean, it was, I've seen it too where because believe it or not, Dave, I'm a very honest person. And, you know, I'm not sure that you can be honest and be in politics.
Did you always feel that somebody else was going to do it and then you just got pinned into doing it?
You know, the show was a very big success. I did it for 14 seasons. Can you believe it? And then Schwarzenegger.
I missed Joan Rivers. I miss Joan Rivers, man. She was the best. Well, Mr. President, I really appreciate you taking the time and enjoy the weekend. And I hope we can connect again.
Dave Rubin had Donald Trump on a show. That's crazy. Not as crazy as me not missing the top of the hour, obviously. There is going to be a 60-second ad break here, as always. Now, of course, if you no longer want to see the ads, you can subscribe. You can subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Twitch Prime is free. Or you can use an ad blocker or a VPN or some shit. I don't know. Maybe if you're able to see the fucking video in the stream appropriately. Yes, I did not play the Friday song. Please stop crying about it. Okay, I'm sorry. Xenophobia strikes yet again. Tourists dressed in replica red army costumes raise their right fists and pledge their allegiance to the Chinese Communist Party. This is red tourism in China, where people flock to historic sites to absorb a sanitized version of the party's history. Wait, what? What the fuck? Why are they... Bro, it's such a weird fucking place to like make this statement. Like there's literal like plantations that you can visit in the South, bro. Like the fact that you can publish this, without like thinking about how, you know, Washington D.C. or how Pennsylvania or how numerous parts of the American tourist attractions that revolve around like the sanitized version of American history operates, shows that like all you need to do is just say tankies and everyone will go along with it and just be like, wow, that's crazy. I can't believe they're doing that. Like, why is it always that like whenever, and by the way, this is like ridiculous, but it's also incredibly fucking commonplace. So I find it so remarkable that like we have this point of view and people literally just like They just go along with how strange this is, like as though it's just happening in China or something. You know what I mean? Like, we have fucking Civil War battle reenactments, shit like that. It's so wild. It's so weird. I don't understand. I actually don't understand why, like, the New York Times is, like, writing this article as though, like, this is a totally unique thing and so strange and so unacceptable. I really don't understand. Well, people saying we carved our leader's face on the fucking mountains. Hey, we didn't just carve it to any mountain. We carved it on Native American land that we stole from the Native Americans that we genocided. That's so wild, like. Yeah, I've been to Williamsburg. Yeah, Colonial Williamsburg, right? Like where they do like reenactments and shit. Yeah. Same guy who invented peanut butter did Mount Rushmore. Did you know that, bro? Wait, really? No shot. You're lying. Like currently in the United States of America, we are having a conversation about conservatives trying to very deliberately attack any sort of like critical mention of race from the perspective of black people when talking about like American history. Okay. And that is on top of our already whitewashed history, right? Like we've already whitewashed history. And then also on top of that, like conservatives are still like, it's not enough. So I don't know like how you will look at this as like a uniquely Chinese thing. Unless the fascination comes from an Orientalist perspective that dictates that, like, it's somehow weird and gross when the Chinese do it, but, like, kind of normal when we do it. So that's it's very odd, but also what's even weirder than this, like the fascination with this, which is just like literally what we do every 4th of July, what we do here in America all the time. What's even weirder is that I don't know. I fuck it. No, I already ran the top of the hour ad. I don't have that. I'm losing brain cells looking at this. It's not that I'm tired. It's like, dude, literally talking to chat for an extended period of time lately has just been a burden on my brain. I swear to God. Most tours are carefully curated to show a sanitized version of the party's history on display. A museum in Shanghai, where the first party congress was held in 1921, and Mao's homes in the mountains of Jinggangshan and Yan'an. Not on display, any reminder of the bloody party purges of Yan'an, the millions of people who starved to death during the Great Leap Forward, or the persecutions and deaths unleashed by the Cultural Revolution. What the fuck? We literally do this exact same thing, dude. This is so weird. What? Like, I don't understand it. Funny how Americans are so worried about other countries and their histories, but can't even handle our own. it's just like, it's very odd. It's a very odd thing to cover with such a serious tone. Like, I cannot believe a global superpower is engaging in this sort of whitewashing of their own history. Yeah, no shit they are. Of course they are. Like, what the fuck? Like, there is not a single country that doesn't do this, including ourselves. And when I'm critical of America doing this, I'm critical because I can be, because I'm an American. This is it's an op-ed or an actual editorial? No, this is not an editorial. This is an actual article written on the New York Times. This is like a legitimate New York Times piece talking about the whitewashing of Chinese history. This is actually like regular news. It is not. It's not an op-ed. Anyway, I don't understand. I like, yeah, I know. Of course they are doing this. This is like what every fucking country does. At a theme park in Yan'an. The New York Times article on the Peru fascist coup attempt was also shitty. I mean, it was also shitty on Bolivia, too. You are right on many things, but your bias and denial towards China is worse than shit. I mean, okay. My denial and bias towards China, where I said that writing an entire article as though this is like a unique fascination, exclusive to the Chinese nation, is literally psychotic. I guess you've just never been to Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania, Colonial Williamsburg, actual like plantations that still exist. Many of our institutions that were built on slavery, or I don't know, walk outside in the United States of America that was built like on mostly native land that we stole after genociding the Native Americans that lived here. So yeah, no, I'm letting you know that yes, it is bad. Okay, China bad. China bad, boys. Okay, I hope you're happy about that. Like, but this is my confusion stems from the way that this is portrayed as like a unique phenomena exclusive to this Orientalist gaze that we have towards our foreign adversary. You know? What started the cultural fixation on gender from Joe Rogan experience? Oh God, I bet this is going to be brilliant. I bet this is going to be insightful. Who is this guy who's on with Colin Wright? Her boss was less enthusiastic. When asked what he thought about Mao, he declined to say. They had just finished lunch at a restaurant with a giant beatific portrait of Mao overlooking them. One employee said she was very supportive of the party. We are very blessed to have good leaders, she said. There was another thing I was going to say that this was the restaurant. HasanAbi. Gözleme mantıkeş cake. What, did you find this in one of your GeoGuessr streams? MHUD? This is my restaurant exposed. They lifted way more people out of poverty, land distribution amount. Kyle posted a clip of the podcast. HasanAbi comments are already malding. Wait, really? Where? It was a lot of fun. Why would people be malding? Oh, do they just hate me? They're like Kyle fans, but they hate me or something, maybe?
Two things. I was wondering if you think we were talking about the Biden administration and like their failures on $15 minimum wage.
Song kind of sounds like an emo kid defending his favorite band. He's wearing the band's t-shirt and his arguments are queued up and ready to go. I mean, I agree with the early stuff, but is better. But I don't really like that sold out after signing a major label. What? Having power and refuse to wield it in the face of injustice and adversity may as well be complicity. What do we expect for them to do? What we put them there, fight, not go along to get along? The Door fans are angry that Crystal and Kyle are not validating their emotions in this clip. Bunch of parasocial Andes. In 5 minutes, Hasan went from not knowing what the squad can do to leverage power to agreeing with Kyle that the squad has squandered opportunity to use to leverage power. I appreciate the leftist YouTube media bubble, but the lack of clear conviction and urgency to hold politicians accountable. Okay, Weirdo Andes, if you just say you don't watch my fucking stream, like I literally yell about the squad not doing enough as well. In this conversation that I'm having, I was referencing that like people's expectations of like the squad dismantling American imperialism is relatively silly. And for the most part, same criticisms can be launched towards Bernie Sanders as well. I mean, I literally criticized the AOC yesterday. Not saying that like they're doing the most, which is precisely why I agreed with Kyle in the end of this. All right,
Do you think the criticisms of the squad and the sort of more leftist members of the House and the Senate has been justified, or do you think it's been too harsh?
I don't know what otherwise like anti-electoralist leftists like I don't know what they expect from the squad beyond like, you know, clippable moments like the ones that Ilhan Omar, who is incredibly fucking brave, gets to have, where she'll like, you know, ask a normal question to Anthony Blinken, and then the entire reactionary media circuit will just like unload onto her and be like, this, you know, Muslim woman wearing a hijab is actually an anti-Semite. I promise you, please believe us. But like beyond that, like what are they supposed to do? I mean, look, I don't know where you guys even fall on the force to vote stuff when it was first happening.
Yeah.
But I said something along the lines of like I wanted the force to vote on at least even the public option. Like if we're gonna symbolically push for something, well, I would have much rather had like someone who could potentially replace Pelosi, right? Without a replacement. It's like that is not even a hollow victory, it's a hollow defeat. And obviously that takes time, and like, you know, you have to work through the party infrastructure to have your troops ready basically for that opportunity. But I wanted to push a public option at least. Like, why are we not even talking about the public option now?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want Medicare for all. I want a fully nationalized healthcare system. I think that is the best possible way. Is the most ethical way to go about it, and that's the best possible way to go about it. But I think Medicare for all was a good stepping stone towards that. Okay, like some form of comprehensive single-payer universal healthcare. But we're having a hard time expanding Medicare at this point. Like Medicare eligibility getting lowered to 55 is out of the question now. Now we're talking about like, you know, or even lower than that. Like it's ridiculous to me that like we have this expectation that like the squad is going to be a bunch of magicians that somehow magically are able to craft legislation. I mean, they definitely mess up. I know like Kyle tracks them very closely.
Yeah,
and
let me interject.
Great suggestions always, but ultimately, like, I don't know what they're supposed to do.
So let me interject because I just want to break it down for you. So first, I want to separate some things out. There are criticisms that I think are totally illegitimate, and I think it undermines the cause of people who are going after the squad from the left. And the criticisms that I think are illegitimate is when anybody brings up something like corruption, or anybody brings up, they're just like Pelosi. If you can't see the difference between AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Jamal Bowman, and Pelosi, you're just dense. Like you're a sloppy, unnuanced thinker. And so that annoys me. And the other thing, the corruption thing annoys me because words have to have meaning, guys. And corruption means you're taking money from donors and you're doing the bidding of the donors. If you think that's the case with the Justice Democrats, you're just factually wrong. They're not taking money and they're not doing the bidding of donors. However, so those are the criticisms I think are totally illegitimate, and I wish everybody would stop making them because I don't think people understand how dumb they look when they make those criticisms. Okay? The criticisms that I think are legit are the following. So yes, when they tried to do force the vote over Medicare for all, they didn't lift a finger on that front and they didn't agree with it. Okay, fair enough. The response from AOC was interesting, though, because she said, I don't want to do it on Medicare for all because there's no chance of us passing Medicare for all. We have to keep our powder dry for something where it could actually work. And she brought up $15 minimum wage for that. Then the fight came up over $15 minimum wage, and they instantly folded, and they didn't do dick. True. And they had the ability to block all legislation and say, we're not voting for anything unless it has $15 minimum wage in there. Now, if they were to do that, the media would have rained holy hell on them. The Democratic leadership would have rained holy hell on them, and they would have said, you're in league with the Republicans, and you're obstructing and helping them. But if you had a spine and you knew how to fight, you could say, that's bullshit. I'm blocking this from the left. And if you want us to vote for it, it's not on me. It's on Biden. It's on Manchin. It's on the Senate Democrats who are against it. Put the $15 minimum wage in there. It polls at fucking 70% or whatever it polls at. Everybody wants this. There's even some polls where Republicans want it. So who are we kidding? We're fighting for the American people, and Democratic leadership isn't, and the Republicans aren't. And so they didn't fight on that. Where they're failing, it's a very simple answer. Here's where they're failing. They were sent there to do Tea Party tactics. They're not doing Tea Party tactics. They're fucking trying.
White dude saying they don't have his spines is not a good look. Man, I don't give a fuck about looks, okay? Shut the fuck up.
Trying to play the inside game and try, like, if I'm nice to Pelosi and I'm nice.
People don't understand, like, Kyle's background and, like, what he's done and how much responsibility he could potentially take for, like, even AOC's political career starting off as a consequence of, like, the Justice Democrats. And you're over here talking about spines and shit. Like, shut up. Fuck your optics.
To leadership, maybe they'll give me some crumbs of change and I'll like that. That's not going to fucking work. It's never worked, which is why we sent you there with the Tea Party idea.
Here's the difference, okay? He's going to talk about the Tea Party stuff here, and there is some stuff that I wanted to talk about here, but that I just didn't, and
in mind, because when the Tea Party did it, it fucking worked. They got a lot of their priorities because they made John Boehner fucking hate them just as much as the Tea Party Republicans hated the Democrats. They hated Republican leadership, and they shifted that Overton window to the right.
Kyle is responsible, yeah, sure. What are you talking about? Kyle and Cenk literally built up the Justice Democrats. What the fuck are you guys talking about? Now they're no longer associated with the Justice Democrats because they canceled Cenk after the right-wing op, or centrist and center-right op, that, like, exposed Cenk as a terrible person or whatever the fuck, but like they literally founded the Justice Democrats, dude. Man, what the fuck? What? Yo, Jesus Christ. He's expecting these young women to martyr themselves? Okay, hey, quit it with the baby gloves, you fucking weirdos in the chat. These are representatives, okay? They're not your girlfriend. Like, stop with this, like, oh, they're expecting them to martyr themselves. No, Kyle is expecting them to fight, and he's correct. Now, there is more nuance to it than just like, oh, they're not fighting as hard as they should for us, specifically as it pertains to a comparison to the Tea Party. The Tea Party here is not the best comparison because the Tea Party's goals are pretty much aligned with the rest of the Republican Party. And also aligned with American politics in general, which is less government, tax cuts for the wealthy. They don't really give a shit when it comes to, like, you know, America's endless imperial affairs. So that's precisely why the Tea Party can get away with that. And also the Tea Party is an opt, as we know, created by billionaires that also fund the Republican Party. So the very same the very same amount of power and media coverage that the Tea Party gets is never going to be extended to, for example, the progressives, because the progressives don't have an MSNBC style massively popular propaganda outlet that is going to legitimize them no matter what they do. The progressives have us, okay? Progressive Caucus, the Squad, they only have me, they have Kyle, they have Crystal, they have, 12 people on the internet with an audience, the fraction, with an audience that collectively is not even a fraction of what Fox News gets. That's it, okay? That's the difference, and that's a gigantic difference, and that's the reason why Fox News can dictate what goes on in the American political conversation.
As much as I love the Justice Democrats, and it breaks my heart to say it, they just haven't done the thing that we sent them there to do. So that would be like the substantive criticism of them. How do you respond to that?
I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think that I think that there is more that they could do as far as like utilizing their incredible media credentials. Like, they're very good. They're savvy. Like, they're really fucking savvy. They know how to use social media really well. They know how to utilize the media really well. I wish they would do more of that to at least, like, to instill certain messages back to the American people, like to educate the American people as best as they possibly can by, even in certain instances, blocking legislation and looking like a bottleneck for progress. Showcasing that, like, these are positions that we have as the left. So you are right on that. I think that they should be fighting harder on certain issues, especially like $15 minimum wage.
All I want is for them to fight as hard for things like $15 minimum wage as Josh Gottheimer will fight for, like, the SALT tax cap. Like,
yeah. Oh, for sure.
They're willing to go so hard for, like, we will not increase corporate tax rate, or we will not, we must have this tax cut for our rich constituents in our district. The right-wing Democrats are so willing to draw red lines that they actually stick to, and I just haven't seen that happen a single time from the left.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, think about the entire conversation around Joe Manchin. It's like part of it is because, like, everybody loves to look at politics like it's a sport. So we analyze the districts and states. Like, Joe Manchin is not supposed to be. There is not supposed to be a Democrat in West Virginia. It's plus 35 Trump state. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy that Joe Manchin is there. So we have to, like, sit there and have him play this song and dance to do his, like, own personal branding project. Same with Kirsten Sinema, but, like, Arizona's a little different now. But still, and I wish that, like, that conversation would not just shift over to AOC and Ilhan Omar because of their obstructionist positions in certain times, but also the reasons as to why they're engaging in this action. Because, like, when you ask Joe Manchin, like, why are you doing this? Like, why don't you want to increase minimum wage? Like, he has no fucking answers for that. There's more too. There's a lot more that I talked about. I don't know why people are shitting on me in this clip if I'm, like, agreeing with. Very happy to see Kyle and Hasan repair after the free speech debate. Wait, Kyle and I have always been friends regardless of our disagreements on certain things. This guy unironically thinks I don't know how to leverage power. Like, he thinks that I'm, like, when I say what are they supposed to do, he assumes that, like, I just have absolutely no fucking idea. AOC took our money and gave it to the corrupt establishment Dems. Therefore, the she and the squad are corrupt by Kyle's own definition. Hasan isn't a smart guy. He just appeals to Zoomers. Lol. Oh, God. Okay. Dude just said he didn't know if he could do anything and then backpedaled hard on saying a bunch of stuff that they could do. It's almost like Hasan was against the FTV strategy, but now he pretends that he likes it. He correctly pointed out that the call to action was flawed in ways that would ultimately come back to bite the progressives in the ass. It's crazy how FTV people still haven't addressed the media shitstorm that would have come along with it. oh God, these people are so dense, dude. All of these are your viewers? No, these are, I think there's like a rift within, I think there's always like a rift between the Jimmy Dore audience and other audiences on the internet. That's really cool, man. I'm pretty sure TJ F57 channel would do a much better job as a skilled orator on the internet to command fucking thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people coming in and watching them for 8 to 10 hours on a daily basis. I'm sure he would murder it, you know? If it was up to him, he would be doing a much better job, probably. God, YouTube is still pathetic in so many different ways. Why are you such a masochist? Stop reading YouTube comments. I haven't done it in a while. I just wanted to see. Orange Beanie Man sounds like a clown. What's the point of voting for any of these people if they have absolutely no expectations to get anything done? Is that what I said? Even though he's a cream puff? Do a great job, but it probably makes it harder to do a concise soundbites for a show like this. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, there's still a lot more that we discussed in the aftermath of that clip where it cut off. But I thought you did not give a shit about other people's views on you. No, I love reveling in negative comments about me. I watch it. I look at that all the time.
Additional legal matters at hand. I'm not able to give a full formal statement at this time. But very briefly, though, I do want to give my condolences to the Floyd family. There's going to be some other information in the future that would be of interest, and I hope things will give you some peace of mind. Thank you.
And I'll note that I did read your comments in the pre-sentence investigation as well.
Thanks, Fred.
All right, we are going to take a 15-minute recess so that I can complete the sentencing order based on what I've heard today.
This has been an incredibly difficult case for the Floyd family to have to endure. We are here after a jury verdict, finding him guilty of these offenses. And the court's consideration should not only be focused on the aggravating factors, but the mitigating factors as well. The Minnesota Sentencing Guidelines Commission was established for a reason. And yes, the court in circumstances like these has discretion to go beyond an aggravated sentence, beyond the presumptive sentences established by the sentencing guidelines. But the sentencing guidelines don't differentiate between second-degree murders. Someone robs a liquor store, a police officer is involved in an incident, and a person dies in police custody. The law presumes, the legislature presumes, that the sentencing guidelines as established is a sufficient penalty for all of the second-degree murder categories or cases you would see. From 2019 back to 2010, a total of 90 people were sentenced.
Okay, he did a shit-ass job. He did a shit-ass job throughout the case already. And I just want to point out, like, you know, this is a good opportunity to unload your anxieties and your anger and your frustrations on this person, which is fine. I don't even think that he's a good person to begin with. But I will describe to you once again, the reason why he's doing this is because he wants to present his client in the most sympathetic way that he can, because that's his fucking job. I mean, he's still most likely a scumbag, but you know, he's doing his job here
for second-degree murder. Those sentences, those people, there were more than that, but people who had a 0 criminal history score. more than 90 people were sentenced. 67%, or 60 of those 90 people, received a guideline sentence of 150 months. So 2/3 of all people in this same position received a guideline sentence. 20% received an aggravated sentence, 18 of the 90, and 13%, or 12 individuals.
Didn't you just have the opposite?
Were granted.
Didn't you just have the opposite opinion when we were watching the murder mystery shit? Well, I'm describing why he's saying this stuff, because it is my job to also tell you that, like, this isn't just purely out of him being a piece of shit, but a part of him being a piece of shit and, like, routinely trying to get off murderer cops and shit like that. He's a piece of shit separately, but also on top of that, the reason why he's describing the situation in this light is because it's his fucking job to do so. I'm not saying that to defend him. I don't think he should be defended, but this is literally the reason why he is trying to offer a sympathetic light, offer his client's side in a sympathetic light in a last-ditch attempt to fucking lower the sentencing from the judge as best as he can.
Mitigated departures. So if the legislature and the intent of the sentencing guidelines is to eliminate sentencing disparity, the law should presume that the guideline sentence is what is appropriate in this case. Judge may take into consideration at this point those aggravating factors, but you have to counterbalance them, which is the goal of the law, with the mitigating factors. I know that this has been an incredibly difficult case for the Floyd family to have to endure. The state of Minnesota, likewise, the prosecutors in this case have endured quite a bit, as has Mr. Chauvin's family. This is a case that has changed the world to some degree, and I hope it's positive. But it's my hope that the court follows the sentencing guidelines, applies the law in a reasoned manner, and imposes a just sentence.
Actually, Mr. Chauvin, would you join Mr. Nelson at the lectern? Mr. Chauvin, this is your opportunity if you wish to give any input to the court, and so I turn it over to you and your attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, due to some additional legal matters at hand, I'm not able to give a full formal statement at this time. But very briefly, though, I do want to give my condolences to the Floyd family. There's going to be some other information in the future that would be of interest, and I hope things will give you some peace of mind. Thank you.
And I'll note that I did read your comments in the pre-sentence investigation as well.
Thanks, Ron.
All right, we are going to take a 15-minute recess so that I can complete the sentencing order based on what I've heard today. And let's reconvene at 2.
A few minutes ago as this crowd began to gather here. So what they wanted to listen to this in this square, actually it's right outside the courthouse, and they've been listening through a speaker here, and they've been reacting as we hear this sentencing unfold. And I just spoke with family over here. You guys came here from Chicago, right?
Yes, we did.
So what's your name, sir?
Willie Burton.
What's your reaction to what you've heard so far? They just took a break. I know you were not listening to the last few seconds, but former officer Chauvin spoke very briefly, and I just wanted to get your thoughts. Why was it so important for you to be here, and what do you think will be an appropriate punishment?
I'm here today from the city of Chicago. I brought my daughter. My daughter is somebody of the autistic spectrum, and I want to make sure she feels, breathes, and knows what justice looks like and sees it from the ground level. Justice is a long process. We have to make sure our kids are partner with that process. But today is a very important step on people realistically seeing if the government and the city and the state is going to hold themselves accountable to make sure that we see what real justice looks like and not twisted justice.
So the prosecution has come back and they have said that they would want to see 30 years in prison for former officer Chauvin. The defense has said that they would want probation and time served. They're arguing that, you know, he's already served his time and they want probation. What's your reaction to that? What do you think would be appropriate? Would you want to see on the higher end, or what are you thinking for the sentencing here?
What would be appropriate is whatever message is sent to police across the nation to make sure that they don't do this, that they understand what de-escalation looks like. If this can't send a signal to show that this doesn't need to happen again with police doing senseless killings, then the message wasn't served today in relation to the sentencing.
Thank you, sir, very much for talking to us. We really appreciate it. So, Lester, this is, you know, they're waiting here to see what the sentence will be handed down. Lester, as you know, we were here 2 months ago in this very spot, actually, right outside the courthouse, and it was a similar scene. It was a smaller crowd this time, but back then, people were listening to the verdict come down, and there were cheers that erupted. I can tell you, you know, when we heard speaking of the people here in the crowd, they would want to see on the higher end Chauvin be sentenced to at least 20, 25 years. Again, prosecutors asking for 30. He faces a maximum of 40 years in prison. As you've reported, Lester, prosecutors, you know, they say because of aggravating factors, he should get on the higher end of that of those sentencing guidelines. But again, there is high anticipation here. This is a community that has been waiting for this sentence to be handed down for quite a while. Again, they are taking a break now while we wait for court to resume. Lester?
All right, Gabe, thanks very much. Mary Moriarty is a former chief public defender for Hennepin County. Mary, thank you for being with us. Let's talk about those aggravating factors. Clearly, the Assistant Attorney General made it very clear this is not, in his view, a typical second-degree murder case. How important are these factors in determining the sentence?
They're extremely important, and I think the judge gave us a heads up about that when he wrote a memo after he found 4 of the 5 aggravating factors that the Attorney General was looking for. So he wrote that he thought that Derek Chauvin abused his position of trust as a peace officer, and he also wrote quite a bit about the particular cruelty that Chauvin inflicted upon George Floyd, that this was a lengthy death, that George Floyd had been begging for his life, that it must have been terrifying. And so I think we're about to hear Judge Cahill directly address Chauvin and I believe talk about these aggravating factors.
We have, I don't want to presume what the judge will decide here, but typically in a murder case like this, will the judge have
I don't think he's going to get like just probation or anything like that, if that's what you guys are thinking. No, I think he's going to get fucking slapped in the face.
I don't know that there's a typical murder case like this, but
likely
yes,
a max sentence.
Judge Cahill already knows the number that he is going to give.
I know
he has spent a lot of time researching. Remember that both sides did file memos, pretty extensive memos on what they wanted the sentence to be. He's also had an opportunity to look at that defense memo pretty closely, which it was interesting to me because I would describe it as being as very defiant, which you could see throughout what we've already seen. Even from Chauvin's mother, who I don't think, I mean, it might have been good for Derek Chauvin to hear his mother there to support him, but she maintained that narrative.
He offered some deeper sense of remorse and empathy. That might have made a difference to the family.
All right, Paul Butler, thank you for standing by with us. NBC's Megan Fitzgerald is in George Floyd Square, where obviously this has been being watched very carefully. Megan?
Yeah, Lester, you know, this is the place, obviously, where George Floyd was killed, just directly behind me here. And worth noting that just a couple of weeks ago, it was a group of community members along with the city that reopened this area, because you'll remember it was closed to traffic. But despite that, I can tell you that the same sentiment, the same passion, the same reasons why people have come here still remains. I want to kind of show you around what's happening here. Not a large group of people, but nonetheless, people who have come out here today to remember George Floyd's life. And this is what this area has always been a place for people to pray, for them to reflect, also to remember the lives of other people killed at the hands of police. I've been speaking with people out here, and just moments ago, there were chants of 30 years. For many people, a high sentence is closure for them. Of course, we know that the other 3 officers will stand trial in March. But for them, this is a big day. This is a day that sort of wraps it all up. The officer that kneeled on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, the power of being in this location when they hear the verdict is something that they say can't be compared. So people are here with their cell phones out, waiting and hoping, they say, for a just verdict of 30 years, something they say will send a message to the nation.
Megan Fitzgerald in George Floyd Square for us as we all wait. Judge Cahill still in chambers right now. We expect to see him again shortly, and this sentencing will go forward. I want to bring in NBC legal analyst Danny Cevallos. Danny, I want to get your thoughts, but especially on hearing from former officer Chauvin's mother, what effect that may or may not have in your view.
It was definitely a very sympathetic moment for Derek Chauvin's mother, but it may not have played well with the judge, because sentencing judges don't want to hear someone get up and say how this sentencing will hurt me. I'm going to lose out because I'm losing a son. That's the kind of thing that judges might not take the right way, because it's really about either remorse or the harm that was done to the victim. So while I have all kinds of sympathy for Derek Chauvin's mom, and look, it's hard to get up there, and this is probably the hardest speaking moment of her life. For Derek Chauvin, the defense probably hopes that
kind of wild that, like, I mean, she's a mom, bro. That, of course.
This is just about my loss of my son.
It's what is she supposed to say? Like, of course she's going to be like, my son is not racist. She's literally making an impact statement to garner sympathy for her son, thinking that, like, this will reduce his sentence. It's sad, but it's expected. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, it was a bad statement, though. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, she did raise someone who ended up murdering an innocent black person in cold blood in front of a massive crowd. So, yeah, what were you expecting from the mother? Just like, what are you expecting for me to be like, yeah, fuck her? Like, okay.
And
yeah, fuck her.
To give a full formal statement at this time. But very briefly, though, I do want to give my condolences to the Floyd family. There's going to be some other information in the future that would be of interest. And I hope things will give you some peace of mind. Thank you.
And again, Derek Chauvin in the courtroom just a few minutes ago before the judge retired to consider what he's heard this early.
Yeah, he's gonna in a few moments, in like a couple minutes, we are going to find out what the judge's opinion on the sentencing is. Like, the sentencing hearing is happening or happened already. There was a 15-minute break here. And when the judge comes back, he's going to tell us if he fucking threw the book at Derek Chauvin or not.
His trial. I found it interesting that he not only expressed his condolences to the Floyd family, but looked at them to express those condolences. The cryptic nature of this new information that he says he believes
he didn't say he's sorry or regretful.
Family,
yes, he did.
Quote, peace of mind.
It doesn't matter.
I'm curious to know what that is. Because given the impact statements from the two Floyd nephew and the two brothers, I don't see what could possibly come out that would bring them any kind of peace of mind. I believe it was Philonis Floyd who said, quote, "My family and I have been handed a life sentence," which I found interesting, especially after Derek Chauvin's mother, Carolyn Palenti, said in her statement, when you sentence to the judge, when you sentence my son, you will be sentencing me. These are very powerful moments in the courtroom. Where
yeah, you can go to jail too then. How about that?
Statements. But I wasn't expecting to hear from Derek Chauvin's mother. And so I am actually very curious to see how this plays out, especially given what Danny just said about how that might impact the judge. A very, very.
I don't know why they're not talking about the weird statement that Chauvin said about, like, due to other legal issues, he can't give a statement, and he gives his condolences to the Floyd family and says new information will come out that he hopes will give them a peace of mind. Like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what's going on there. So we'll see.
I mean, I understand what the prosecution was trying to do, trying to make this a very discreet case and have it be on the facts on the ground, following the evidence and keeping the trial focused, keeping the witnesses focused, keeping the judge focused and the jury focused and not distracted by all of the other things that were at play, the politics that got involved, and also how the murder of George Floyd fits into the larger narrative of this country when it comes to African Americans, African American men in particular, and their interactions, sometimes fatal interactions with law enforcement. They, as much as they were able to keep it separate there in the courtroom, out in the court of public opinion, they are intricately linked. The nation was watching nervously when the verdict came down because of viewing the Chauvin trial as part of the larger narrative. Today, even though those words were said again in the courtroom, the nation is going to be watching to see that one hurdle was reached, and a white police officer found guilty for murdering an unarmed black man. Now, how much time will that former police officer serve for killing that unarmed black man? And if there's one thing that Eric Nelson said that I agree with, no matter what sentence the judge hands down, there will be people on all sides of this issue who quite possibly might not be satisfied.
Most watching at home or in the workplace, but some are watching from across that courtroom. That's where we go to Gabe Gutierrez again, with a growing crowd waiting to hear what the judge hands down. Gabe.
Hi there, Lester. Well, yes, they're continuing to chant Black Lives Matter here, anxiously awaiting the sentence. I'm joined by Athena Papagiannopoulos here, a Minneapolis resident. She has organized a few of the protests here in this community. And why was it so important for you to be physically right here, right now, listening to this sentence essentially in person? You're listening through a speaker out here.
Yeah, it's just important to show that we're still together with the community and that we're going to be here for the community and the family, like no matter what happens throughout the entire process. And Athena, as my colleague, photojournalist Belen Gerlucci kind of pans around and shows the crowd. Athena, what was your reaction to some of the things we just heard from? George Floyd's young daughter, Gianna, gave a message, and so did several of his family members. What was the most powerful section for you? What was the most powerful moment? It's the fact that she has the strength to be up there doing what she's doing. She's a young black woman, just really a child, and the whole situation is just so beyond heartbreaking. But to have to put someone up there time and time again and constantly be in the spotlight, her presence in general is amazing. There were some in the crowd here that gave a strong reaction when they heard Derek Chauvin's mother, as well as Chauvin himself, very briefly get up and speak. What was your reaction when you heard that? I understand when you have a child, you want to back them no matter what, and their wrongs and their rights and what they do, but I just don't have respect for that because he's clearly just going through the motions of this trial. So for her to have more emotion than him throughout this entire process in that small snippet, I didn't feel good about it. And Athena, we were here in this spot just 2 months ago when the verdict came down. There were cheers that erupted here. It seemed like a weight had been lifted off of this community in Minneapolis. What do you consider to be the historic significance of this moment, and what do you consider an appropriate punishment for Derek Chauvin to be? We can't get the appropriate punishment because, with the laws and everything, but it has to be maximum of what they're willing to give, or else that's just as bad as them saying, no, you don't get it. Because if we get, 10, 12, 13 years, that's them saying that you're not worthy of what I feel my child is worthy of. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. And just being here with the community just makes it all better because...
Damn, what is she... He's like, he's not going to get what he deserves. Holy shit. I wonder what she meant by that. Anyway, look, I'm going to run the ad right now. No fucking clever segue because I want, I don't want people to miss out on it. when the verdict or when the sentencing comes in. So it's another top of the hour ad right now. If you'd like an ad-free broadcasting experience, you already know VPN, ad block, subscription. You can subscribe for $5, or you can subscribe for free with a Twitch Prime. But here is the ad break now, boys.
Again, not just for this community, Lester, but obviously across the country. We keep talking to people from Chicago, from Michigan, and also this woman here. Are you from Minneapolis, ma'am?
My name is Marcia.
Marcia,
born
tell
and raised
me.
here.
Sure, born and raised. Why is it so important for you to be here right now?
Gabe, we're going to break away from you. The judge is back in the courtroom.
Okay, well, I was wrong. Sorry.
Not just the people who were in the courtroom here, but also those who provided written statements, both from the Floyd family and the defendant's family. I've read all the impact statements that were submitted earlier and listened carefully to all the input here today. And it is truly appreciated that you took the time to stay with this case and to provide me with input. I have reviewed the pre-sentence investigation and carefully considered all the facts of the case and the law, but my comments are actually going to be very brief, because most of it's going to be in writing. I have a 22-page memorandum that is going to be attached to the sentencing order. And why am I doing it in writing? To emphasize the fact that determining the appropriate sentence in any case, and in this case, is a legal analysis. It's applying the rule of law to the facts of an individual and specific case. And that is why, as opposed to trying to being profound here on the record, I prefer that you read the legal analysis that explains how I determined the sentence in this case.
Uh-oh.
What the case is, or what the sentence is not based on, is emotion or sympathy. But at the same time, I want to acknowledge the deep and tremendous pain that all the families are feeling, especially the Floyd family. You have our sympathies. And I acknowledge and hear the pain that you are feeling. I acknowledge the pain not only of those in this courtroom, but the Floyd family who are outside this courtroom and other members of the community.
I have to
It
pee
has been
so bad,
painful
dude.
throughout Hennepin County, throughout the state of Minnesota, and even the country. But most importantly, we need to recognize the pain of the Floyd family. I'm not going to attempt to be profound or clever, because it's not the appropriate time. I'm not basing my sentence also on public opinion. I'm not basing it on any attempt to send any messages. A trial court judge, the job of a trial court judge is to apply the law to specific facts and to deal with individual cases. And so, Mr. Chauvin, as to count one, based on the verdict of the jury finding you guilty of unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony under Minnesota Statute 609.19 subdivision 2 paren 1, it is the judgment of the court that you now stand convicted of that offense. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute section 609.04, counts 2 and 3 will remain unadjudicated as they are lesser offenses of count 1. As sentence for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months. This is based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. You are granted credit for 199 days already served. Pay the mandatory surcharge of $78 to be paid from prison wages. You're prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition, or explosives for the remainder of your life. Provide a DNA sample as required by law. Register as a predatory offender as required by law. and you will receive a copy of the order and also the attached memorandum explaining the court's analysis. Anything further from the state?
If this needs to be said, we just ask that it be executed forthwith.
Defendant is remanded to the custody of the sheriff to be transported back to the DOC or whichever custody is currently holding him. Anything from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. We are adjourned.
The judge not reading his full sentencing memorandum and getting virtually right to the sentencing and sentencing Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer, to 22 and a half years in prison. That is less than the maximum, but certainly far more than Chauvin and his attorneys were asking for. Let's go to Gabe Gutierrez right now, who is across the street from the courthouse, where we've been watching a growing crowd. I assume the word is getting there now. What's the reaction you're seeing?
Hey, Lester. Well, I should let you know this crowd is maybe on a 30-second delay from where they've been hearing, so there's just starting to spread through the crowd right now. It was quiet. People are kind of taking it all in.
22 and a half years.
Process, and I'm trying to listen for some reaction now.
It's a solid sentence, in my opinion.
Spoke with a short time ago, Athena, you were just listening to it. So 22 and a half years, the sentence handed down to Derek Chauvin. That is 10 years more than the recommended guidelines. You just heard what the judge had to say. What's your immediate reaction?
It's wild to...
I'm taking this as a win for my community right now. We needed this. It could have gone just so far left that there was no coming back. He said, that he's not doing this, for the public, but he knew he really, really had to. It just had to be done this way, and I'm really so thankful for my community in the world and just showing that we can't go on like this. But I also take a second back to think about all of the other people this has happened to with the knee on the neck since George Floyd. So I'm taking it as this is a small victory right now, and I'm just so appreciative. But it's going to take me a second to process it.
He didn't get nowhere near enough. Seeing the bare minimum isn't a
22
win.
years for him. Now let's move forward with who has continued to do this after.
Thank you very much, Athena. I really appreciate you talking to Lester. And I was just starting to speak with a Minneapolis resident right before the hearing came back. And ma'am, hi, how are you? They gave 22 and a half years, ma'am, is what they just gave him. So the word is trickling out here, Lester. Ma'am, what's your immediate reaction? Derek Chauvin sentenced to 22 and a half years in prison.
Maybe that is, he set an example out of other dirty cops here. It's good that it's bad what he did, but he's not shot other black men here. And they say he has no criminal charges, which is true, but the police they didn't charge him for it.
Well, thank you, ma'am, very much for talking to us. I know it's kind of hard to get some information here, but so 22 and a half years. Thank you very much, ma'am. So Lester, again, kind of a situation here where we're trying to get as much reaction as we can. And again, word is starting to trickle out. The judge said the sentence first in months, so people are trying to make the calculation here again to 22 and a half years. But sir, the situation here, the sentence just handed down 22 and a half years. We just spoke.
I have to pee. I'll be back in 1 second.
From Chicago.
Okay?
What's your reaction?
Guilty was served. I don't think that that's enough time to send a message that needs to be sent to say that justice is trying to work for people of color. It's a dent, but we still feel empty today. We feel empty because it still feels like twisted justice in which we're all so accustomed to, but we did get a guilty, and then we did get time, but we just feel void today. It still feels void.
Thank you very much, sir. So, Lester, again, some conflicting feelings here. Some folks, you may be able to hear somebody behind me. There's a bit of anger here that they wanted more. Certainly, many people in this community, they had wanted the maximum, up to 40 years. Legal experts, of course, said that wasn't likely. Prosecutors asked for 30 years. So, again, 22 and a half years for Derek Chauvin on that second-degree murder charge. A mixed reaction so far. Some people saying it was enough, so they wanted more than than 20 at least. Others, as you can hear in the distance, perhaps there is some anger. They wanted more, Lester. So we're continuing to grab to get reaction here as this crowd continues to grow. But for now, I'm going to send that back to you, Lester.
All right, Gabe, thanks very much. 22 and a half years. That would put Mr. Chauvin at 67 when he is released from prison. Let's go to Paul Butler right now. Paul, is this in the neighborhood of where you thought the judge might come down in this case?
It's actually higher, Lester. The judge essentially threw the book at Mr. Chauvin. 22 years, that's a new precedent in Minnesota. The only other officer to be convicted of murder in that state got 12 and a half years. So the judge said his sentence was about legal analysis.
Mohammed Noor got 12 and a half years for murdering, what was I'm forgetting her name now, the victim's name.
This case will impact other officers. This is a tough sentence. Mr. Chauvin will not see the light of day.
I don't think people understand the significance of, like,
hopefully that will
putting a cop in jail for a murder during the putting a cop in jail and, like, serving justice. And the reason why people are so fucking upset all the time and in the streets is because, like, of precisely how difficult it is to throw a cop in jail for murdering someone on the job. Okay? Half the time you can't even throw cops in jail for murdering people off the fucking job, let alone on the job. And in Minnesota, that was not a thing that ever happened. Never happened for a white cop murdering a black person on the job. And the only time it happened was with Mohammed Noor. And it was for 12 and a half years. So anyway.
Fighting for justice for him, and we're going to keep supporting all these other families in Cleveland for it. Love y'all. Big ups.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, man. I'm trying to let y'all motherfuckers know if y'all ain't independent media, fuck y'all. And fuck your story, and fuck everything you cover.
Okay. What the fuck's going on here? I hope that the fairness exhibited here is extended to everyone. I turned off the audio for a second. They're having a hard time filming right now.
Hey, turn your cameras the other way. Y'all independent media, fuck you. American is not independent media, fuck you. Straight the fuck up. I'm black every fucking second. This man is black every second. This is not a fucking story. We're not zoo exhibits. We're not fucking animals. I fought American justice more than anyone else in history.
Do you think it's a good sentencing? Yes, I think it's a good sentence. I do. But, you know, people will disagree with me on that. But with everything I believe as far as, like, rehabilitative justice and with everything I believe, yes, I think 22 and a half years is a decent sentence. Anyway, Van Jones disagrees. He was disappointed. Okay. He's only getting 15 years. You're saying because he's going to be out on good behavior? Yeah, I know. I understand that. But ultimately, that's not something that you're considering when you're giving people their sentencing.
From this. I dedicated my life to this fight for justice, and none of these fucking corporate media. All y'all care about was black trauma. David Black trauma and putting it on display.
Like, for the people who are
research documented of American injustice.
He's also a cop in prison, so just remember that.
I can prove to the chief, international chief of police. And now we got the fucking police. Is anyone from the media going to cover this?
Hey, can we get everybody back in the circle, please? Hey, everybody back in the circle, please.
Right on.
Let's not be all over. Can we get everybody back in the circle?
Hey, can we get everybody back in the circle, please?
Why are there non-violent offenders serving? Why are there non-violent drug offenders serving longer sentences? Is a great question. Because of America's incredibly draconian attitude towards crime and punishment. That's why. But the proper approach with a focus on rehabilitative justice is not to say like throw the book at like every single person. The proper approach, focusing on rehabilitative justice, is to say that this is a decent sentencing, and that that sympathy, timed tenfold, should be extended to all nonviolent offenders that are in prison for ridiculous charges. There's an old black man that just recently got out of prison after serving like 60 years or some shit in jail or in prison for stealing 2 T-shirts. Like, this is basically what I talk about with respect to the American criminal justice system. It's ridiculous. It's horrifying.
Awakened to this issue in a new way. George Floyd likely, let's hope, did not die in vain.
Terry, thank you. And we're seeing more people there in Minneapolis showing up at that memorial site.
Why are you comparing it to nonviolent criminals? I'm not the one comparing it to nonviolent criminals. Chatter just brought it up.
For healing the country that has been through so much over the course of the last year. Ben Crump himself says one step closer to healing. And I see you've been talking to a lot of people about this.
Well, you know, I think for so many people, it's hard not to feel the personal effects of this, even as Terry just talked about.
Sorry, it wasn't 67 years. It was a 20-year prison sentence for stealing 2 shirts.
The mom of a black
son,
son,
the man's name was Guy Frank.
I mean, but we all witnessed this, and we went through this case and this trial. So it's been a traumatic time, I think, for a lot of people. We know that there's still more charges to come.
I said 67,
charges in this case.
But that was his age. I fucked up the number.
The chapter on this part of the George Floyd story, and I do believe that for some people there will be some measure of satisfaction. Doesn't happen very often, particularly when it is a black person who was lost at the hands of police. But I think for a number of people, and certainly I would say for this mom, it is nice to see that this case is sort of put to rest, at least for now. And I think that for a lot of people, this will be maybe some measure of healing.
Like you said, closing one chapter. There still is more to this story.
Absolutely.
Deborah, thank you so much. And thanks to our entire team for the coverage of Derek Chauvin's sentencing, 22 and a half years in prison. Our coverage on this story continues on ABC News Live and abcnews.com. Of course, we'll have a full wrap-up on this and that breaking news out of Florida, that 12-story building collapse. Our David Muir is there covering the tragic events. He will be there live tonight for World News Tonight. For the entire team, I'm Whit Johnson in New York. Have a good day.
He will have to be in solitary for most of his sentence. His situation is not going to be good in prison. He's a fucking murderer cop. Cops in general don't have a good time in prison, okay? Like, they are at the same level as like pedophiles in prison. They will get murdered in general population. Okay, I don't even know if they can get I don't even know if they can be around other pedophiles that would still probably murder them. Which is so he's not going to have a fun time in prison. It's not like a cakewalk, if that is any solace or comfort for those who are looking for vindication and revenge from the criminal justice system. Okay? So to all of the draconian Andes, I understand why you would be very angry in seeing blood in this circumstance, and knowing what you do, knowing what you know about our, knowing what you know about this particular instance of cold-blooded murder. Do you think it's okay that cops can get extrajudicially murdered in prison? No. The other part of that is that will literally be used as a way to maybe even, we'll see what happens. But that circumstance could be used to lower his sentence down the line. People who are saying He might get out on good behavior in 15 years. That's true. He could. Fuck rehabilitation. He's a racist murderer. Okay. Once again, I understand where you're coming from in this because of how passionate everyone feels about the situation. But remember what we talk about all the time with respect to rehabilitative justice. Our justice system doesn't create justice. It creates resentment, pain, and suffering. Anyone looking for justice in sentencing hearing is looking in the wrong place. Yes. This guy will get to start a new life in 15 years. George Floyd doesn't. Yeah, I know. I understand. I have this conversation about nearly every single offense. Unfortunately, when talking to Americans, there are a couple issues that the American leftist audience routinely loses their principles on. The criminal justice system being rehabilitative rather than focusing on the extended length of sentencing and more punitive is one of those instances. And the other one is sex and sex work and sexuality in general. Americans are very puritanical and lose their shit when it comes to sex and have like really backwards points of view on sex and sexuality. And they have really backwards views on the criminal justice system as they routinely advocate for harsher sentencing. Overall, from my point of view, knowing what I know and also my principles that I believe in, I believe that the 22.5-year sentence is decent. Remember, this is not justice. This is the justice system taking the first step for the first time, possibly. Wait, hold on one second. For the first time, possibly ever, bringing this sort of conviction. You know what I mean? So it's a first step towards justice. Justice would be making him learn CRT. Okay, shut the fuck up. It's nuts how reactionary the left get when it comes to revenge. Personally, I would not want the death sentence. I may happen to be murdered. It is insane not to give another a chance to rehabilitate. Yes. Being draconian back isn't the solution, is what you're saying, right? Yes, that's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. And ultimately, what I'm also saying here is that like the 22-year sentence is not only a decent sentence for this murderer, but also is a good way to show the rest of the country and the cops that like, hey, there is a fraction of accountability coming your way if you do act this way. So it is still incredibly significant. Okay. I mean, if you act this way and get caught on video, yeah. I wonder if him being in Kyle will lead to the friction with prison guards and the such. Maybe good behavior isn't a given. Isn't that the same logic as mandatory minimums? I mean, it would be the same logic as mandatory minimums if we literally had like any sort of fucking accountability within the criminal justice system for cops behaving this way, but we don't. So like this is one of the few instances where there's like at least a specific way of showing like, here, there are some punishments that will get doled out if you act out. At a certain point, if you have a child and you're trying to educate your child on what not to do, at a certain point, you have to draw a line. Like, as someone who believes in reforming the criminal justice system, I don't say that there is no need for prisons at all, or that there's no need for even the police force in general. There always is going to be, there always are going to be laws, and law and order should be, law and order should always be well defined and maintained. So, you know, this is a step towards that. Anarchists in shambles. I mean, anarchists, even prison abolitionists understand that there are like edge cases where taking someone away from the rest of society is a necessity. It's just more so about democratizing that decision as best as possible, and all of the other decisions leading up to that. Anarchy is about the abolition of unjust hierarchies, not hierarchies for the sake of existence. Like hierarchy, it's not about abolishing hierarchy for the sake of there being a hierarchy. Well, maybe some anarchists do believe that, but anyway. Okay. This is the judge's conclusion for on the 22-page explanation. Part of the mission of the Minneapolis Police Department is to give citizens voice and respect. Here, Mr. Chauvin, rather than pursuing the MPD mission, treated Mr. Floyd without respect and denied him the dignity owed to all human beings, which he certainly would have extended to a friend or neighbor. In the court's view, 270 months, which amounts to an additional 10 years over the presumptive 150-month sentence, is the appropriate sentence. Yeah. Anarchy is about abolishing all hierarchies. Unjust hierarchies can be considered to be the goal of every ideology because unjustified is entirely subjective. Okay, my bad, positive person. Once again, our favorite anarchitty in the chat chimes in. Yes, dude. Good luck abolishing all hierarchies. Got it. Like, even when I try to redeem anarchism, you, like, literally turn around and have to be like, no, actually, it is ridiculous. Like, no, the worldview is ridiculous. I know all the other anarchies also going to fucking now chime in and be like, no, you're literally wrong. So justifiable hierarchies need to also be abolished. So just we will live in a world without any hierarchy whatsoever. Got it. Yes. always, yes, I do mention this a lot, but yes, anarchists might have some strange views, but they're very present and helpful with activism/protest and mutual aid. Yes, they are. They're at the forefront of social justice as well, regardless of what their worldview might be. Yes, abolish parents, abolish mods, abolish all forms of regulation, abolish all forms of laws which are built upon hierarchy, the notion of hierarchy. Like, anarchy is when I want to break the law, but then someone tells me I shouldn't do that and violates my freedom and my personal liberty to be able to break the law. Good one. Okay. Let's continue. The law only exists to serve the needs of the bourgeoisie. Yeah, like yeah, correct. Like statutory rape. Just serving the needs of the bourgeoisie. Very good. No good. There are no good laws in the books. Is a really solid approach to this. You can say that the bourgeoisie routinely break it. Okay. You can say that the capital owning class routinely skirt the law in a similar capacity to how like Western nations have built this idea of human rights exclusively to just bully other developing nations and justify their violations of human rights in an effort to stop the violations of human rights that are occurring in smaller nations. You say something like that, but ultimately, like, throwing human rights out in the trash across the board is a silly approach, I think. And if you have laws, you're always going to need a regulatory force, whether it's completely democratized or not. There is going to be a regulatory force that, that is organized and maintains the law. Okay. What's next? A license to toast in your own damn toaster? Yes. I think all laws and regulations are bad, which is why I think wearing a seatbelt is silly. That's the nanny state stopping me from wanting to, wanting to get just be significantly more damaged and injured in a car accident than otherwise. Real men fly out the car window, brother. Come on, the liberals in your chat will think all anarchists are like that? No, but the fucking most vocal ones are annoying sometimes and do take like a relatively cringe POV on how the world works. And, sometimes I like making fun of that for a brief moment. Sometimes it is literally every day. Okay, well, fucking, you know, there's Marxist-Leninists that have cringe-ass points of view, too. Feel me? Okay, trigger warning. Ted Cruz. I don't want to watch Ted Cruz mansplaining. Okay, let's watch Tucker Carlson. I was going to talk about this already. We were going to talk about CRT and Tucker Carlson's like incredible POV on critical race theory. He got very upset that General Milley said something along the lines of like, you know, don't accuse me of being woke because I read Lenin. I read the works of Lenin and Mao. That doesn't mean I'm a gosh darn communist. Just like, I guess, reading CRT or critical race theory or things that Republicans consider to be critical race theory will not make me a fucking woke. So, Ben Shabibo was very upset at it too. Here, let's point out that, like, here was the General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, just now on critical race theory, talking about wokeness. Ben Shapiro says, and yet Marx and Lenin aren't on Milley's recommended reading list because the military isn't generally in the business of presenting despicable anti-American views to its members worthy of consideration. I love this take, like, that Marx and Lenin are despicable anti-American views. Says Ben Shapiro, I wonder, actually, you know what? I am going to respond to this. I love that Karl Marx hated America when he literally wrote fawning letters to none other than Abraham fucking Lincoln. You know, kind of a strange take from Shabibo here. Marx literally thought America was ripe for revolution. Like, he was a bit of an Ameriboo and loved Abraham Lincoln and sent him letters. So it's kind of cool that he's like, you know, he's taking this like completely ahistorical approach. I'm gonna tweet. I'm gonna fucking reply to it. He said, yeah, famous anti-American Karl Marx who literally wrote fawning letters to Abe Lincoln. Dumbass. They love talking about how, like, Abe Lincoln is a Republican. Abe Lincoln is a Republican, but, you know. Here you go. Here, I linked it. There you go, boys. Here, get it fired up for you, okay? Get that fucking ratio fired up for you. We are gonna go into the critical race theory part of the broadcast once again. Totally made up concept, manufactured outrage, incredibly successful. Republicans once again doing a remarkable job. I work to support an education technology company, and if I get one more call about CRT from a parent, I'm going to lose it. It's so funny that, like, they just manufacture this fucking drama, and then everybody talks about it. So race theory, fake science, global warming, real science? What? Race theory? Oh, what do you mean by that? Do we have a race realist in the chat? God damn, boys, what the fuck? We can't even do a 10-second ratio like we used to. We've lost it. I think my man thought critical race theory is like phrenology or something. Also, like, it's not even a hard science if that's what you think it is. Like, boom. Okay. All right, let's now go to Tucker Carlson going absolutely fucking bananas over the.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. Want to hear an amazing story? It has.
He's just gonna go buck wild. Okay, trigger warning. Tucker Carlson going buck wild, just straight the fuck up, just WASP nationalism, baby. A little bit of white genocide rhetoric in here. I mean, let's just watch.
The benefit of being both true and illuminating. Here it is. In 1851, a man called Samuel Cartwright came up with a fairly sophisticated scientific explanation for why so many slaves were running away from plantations in the American South. These fugitive slaves, Cartwright explained, were suffering from a medical disorder. It was called drapetomania. It was a syndrome characterized by an uncontrollable or insane impulsion to wander. So that was the problem. It wasn't they disliked being enslaved or yearned for freedom and basic humanity. No. The problem, according to Samuel Cartwright, was that black people as a group were inherently defective. They were drapetomaniacs. They were always running away. That's what he said.
Please don't tell me he's going to compare this like phrenology laden psychotic race realist race scientist to the critical race theory. Oh my fucking Lord. Oh yes, he is going to do that. Obviously, of course.
107 years later, it is embarrassing to repeat something this stupid out loud. It's so obviously insane. But here's what you should know. Drapetomania was taken very seriously at the time, and so was Samuel Cartwright. Cartwright was not a fringe character at all. He was a nationally prominent physician, a former high-ranking Army officer from Fairfax, Virginia. He went to Penn Medical School. Samuel Cartwright was a credentialed man of science who commanded...
Okay, I have to point out the inherent irony here because I know where he's going to. What he's going to say is like, this is just the same as white rage. Categorizing whiteness as a disease is inappropriate and unfortunate. We are repeating the mistakes of the past. Now, what is remarkable here is that in an effort to devalue, like, I don't know, the analysis of like white supremacist undertones in American history, he's literally describing how white supremacy could be so fucking pervasive that someone who went to medical school could be a prominent white supremacist, which is kind of something that people should learn about, Tucker. That's the point. Okay, let's keep going.
The respect of the country. 50 years after the Civil War, one of this nation's leading medical dictionaries continued to maintain an entry for drapetomania. So in retrospect, of course, we would call Samuel Cartwright a bigot, which he undoubtedly was. But he was also more than that. Cartwright was a practitioner of something called scientific racism. Scientific racism is deeper than simple prejudice. It is the use of science to justify the dominance of one group over another group. Scientific racism has a history as long as science, simply because the impulse to dominate is inherent to human nature. So it's not really about color, though it's called racism. Instead, it's about power. Martin Luther King wrote eloquently about this. So did Dr. Seuss, by the way. You might want to take a look at what they wrote, assuming you can still buy their books. The point is, scientific racism never actually went away.
What?
It's still with us. No one talks about drapetomania anymore. Instead, our medical...
Is he saying that, like, there's race realism happening in medical schools that, like, literally believe that whiteness is, like, a genetic condition? Oh, my fucking God, dude. That's great. In an effort to devalue education that revolves around teaching people systemic racism, he gave a clear-cut example of how pervasive white supremacy was in American history, that it literally seeped into like the medical profession, and the dominant theory at the time was race realist and eugenicist in nature, only to then turn around and be like, this is exactly like teaching people systemic racism and its impact in contemporary American society. That's fucking awesome, dude.
Medical professionals and law professors and military leaders and politicians and cable news hosts have identified a new disorder they claim explains everything bad. It's called whiteness. In the universities, it has become an article of faith.
There is no medical disorder. Like, there is no whiteness as a medical... Oh, shit.
That were it not for the indelible stain of whiteness, America could be a utopia. Only whiteness stands in the way. That's why we must abolish it. As Harvard Magazine put it, abolish the white race. Only then can we be happy. Lots of people seem to believe this. They're not all...
Okay. Harvard Magazine abolished the white race. I just like, he's just like dropping all this shit. I gotta go into it and see what he's referencing here. What? Oh, Noel Ignatiev, scholar who called for abolishing whiteness, dies at age 78. He wrote a book in 1995 called How the Irish Became White. And his concept was, he worked around race and class and is called to abolish whiteness. And I guess, like, I don't know enough about this theory, but judging by like a quick cursory glance on what this is, seems like he means the concept of whiteness is built around exclusion, which unironically is kind of what, people like Tucker Carlson try to explain. Or I guess he's talking about, yeah, when race becomes black and white, writers confront their personal histories. In the interest of survival, Afro-Americans have always studied whiteness. There's a long tradition among them that the white race is a particular sort of social formation. Yeah, whiteness as a concept. Okay, whiteness as a concept is a pure fabrication. White people have grown in size and it's become more over-encompassing. I'm white, depending on who you're talking to. I'm white in America, certainly not considered white in a place like Germany because of my Turkish background. But even then, once people recognize that I'm a Muslim, Turkish person, then all of a sudden I'm no longer white. Do you understand? Benny Franks did not consider Italians to be white. He did not even consider Germans to be white. He considered them to be swarthy at the time. Okay? The Irish were not considered white. The Polish were not considered white. Slavs were never considered white. Ironic that so many Poles are fucking neo-Nazis now, but, you know, that's besides the point. Let's not get into that. Whiteness as a concept is ever expanding, right? The only people that will never be white, no matter what, are black people. Partially because whiteness as a concept comes from the exclusion of blackness, or how far removed you are from being black, as evidenced by the one drop rule, as evidenced by the fact that we don't think Obama is a white person. We think Obama is a black person, even though he's half black. So, whenever people have theorized about whiteness or race as a social construct, this is precisely what they're talking about. When they say abolish whiteness, this is what they're talking about. It doesn't mean murder white people, okay? But this is precisely what white nationalists believe. White nationalists believe in that outdated form of racial purity, which is precisely why they say white genocide is occurring. Because they think that miscegenation causes the eradication of the white race. Think about that for a second. White genocide is caused by non-white people having consensual sex with white people. And white people as a concept has grown throughout time too. So it's like people that you would never consider white are now considered white. This is why I make fun of white genocide all the time on the show, but most people don't realize it and most people don't understand it. Like, it's not a real concept. It's like a unicorn. It's a made-up idea. Like the Easter Bunny. Okay? Because if you believe that like people being in like loving marriages or having loving relationships with one another and having children together is eradicating your race in a systemic and targeted capacity similar to a genocide, then that's not a real genocide. You're just a fucking psychopathic racist. And Tucker Carlson is one. So, you know, don't get caught up in the spicy language when people talk about abolishing the white race. They're simply referencing whiteness as a concept that is ever expanding.
All bad people, just as not everyone who believed in Samuel Cartwright in the 1850s was evil. Some people are just gullible. They're looking for meaning in their lives. If you hand them a unified theory of everything, some percentage of them are going to buy it wholesale. There were nice people at Jonestown in Guyana. They just didn't know any better. It's their leaders that you wonder about. They do know better, or they should. And when they talk about this new iteration of scientific racism...
Yeah, I love that Tucker Carlson is like criticizing scientific racism when, you know, he had Charles Murray on his show.
Political ambitions. Let's say that again for emphasis because it is the secret to the entire immigration debate. Casting ballots.
Or he talked about Charles Murray, I guess. He didn't have Charles Murray
He's serving
on,
as a
he used Charles Murray. Did he have Charles Murray on? Or oh no. Oh, here it is.
So that if you have, well, I have the data in the book. Essentially, you have registered nurses. And we have data on fairly large numbers of registered nurses, black and white. And the difference in mean IQ between the two of those is a dozen IQ points, which is a lot. It means you have a whole lot of extremely able.
Wow, that's really crazy that Tucker Carlson doesn't seem to have a problem with race realism and race science here, considering Charles Murray is literally one of the fathers of like modern race realism with his Bell theory or bell curve a theory about you know, the IQ mean amongst like different races, and he is literally advocating for it here on his show. So that's kind of cool that Tucker Carlson doesn't seem to have a problem with race science here. 8 facts? Facts? Really? So you're so fucking stupid that you would assume that like just because someone is saying that like here are some data points that you would believe in like race science too, like phrenology and skull measurements? Is that what you're gonna say? Like, it's facts, bro. What a self-report. What an incredible self-report right there.
Black nurses. You have some incompetent white nurses, but it does mean you have a difference in job performance. And that's eventually going to be reflected in income as well. It's going to be reflected in the nature of their careers and the nature of how they end up and so forth. Same thing goes with virtually all kinds of jobs. The same thing goes for the kinds of jobs people end up in, so that you have entry into certain...
Abolish white race is such terrible optics, though. Yeah, dude. Yeah, well, that's why it's in fucking Harvard, okay? It's in like it's in academic papers talking about social sciences and race as a construct, and not in fucking Twitch chat, okay? Like, there's a little bit more than like saying abolish whiteness. Especially when you're talking about it as like a fucking social construct. God damn, this like optic shit is understandable in certain ways. It's understandable in certain ways, but it's so fucking stupid when you have that argument about like academia. Sorry, Sweaty. I really want you to, you know, think about the optics so that like one day some psychopathic reactionary could use this against you. Like, I say this when it comes to certain lectures. Like, the optics argument in certain lectures makes sense. Okay? Like, if you're doing a lecture, then the lecture, if you're doing a lecture in West Point, then that's absolutely going to be weaponized against you. So in certain instances, optics can matter. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. What matters is the source material. But when it comes to like academic papers and shit, like, yeah, the optics argument is so stupid.
Certain kinds of occupations is limited.
Especially if you are a free speech defender, which most of these people are. It's like, you know, considering your framework from how the opposition will bastardize it and, I don't know, devalue your own point of view or your own theoretical framework is like literally unironically anti-free speech in that way.
Because the cognitive demands of those occupations mean that a whole lot of more white people qualify than black people, and even a higher.
You want people to join your cause?
It
It has to be easy to understand and hard to misunderstand. Yeah, except we're not talking about propagandists here. We're talking about people who are studying the issue and are completely lost in the sauce of their own, like, in their own circles. Like, you're talking about academic papers on social issues and social sciences. So remember, that person that's posting that is not like, yeah, I'm doing this because I want it to be propagandized in the future. Okay?
Than white people. These are all differences which are driven not by irrational racism. They are driven by day-to-day realities of job performance and the responses of supervisors to job performances. And
this part of Tucker's show isn't allowed on TV, by the way. It's the bonus web show they do on the Fox News app /Slight. They occasionally use highlights during his main show, but they're never long.
The demands of the market. I'm not saying all of it, by the way. In all of this, you know, in talking about these things, is Murray saying that racism is no longer a factor in American life? No. Racism is a factor in American life. I'm saying that you can't understand the size of the factor.
Remember when fucking Sam Harris had this guy on and like went out to bat for him? That was pretty cool. Big time liberal, by the way. I love the big time liberal Sam Harris, like unironically having Charles Murray on his show and then defending that decision.
It is without understanding the proportion of the differences that are reasonable and logical and predictable.
Immediate self-report for anyone is just like taking IQ as a serious metric for, like taking IQ as a serious metric for anything. Okay? Double self-report if you tie IQ to genetics, which he does regularly. This is his bread and butter. Okay? Anyway. Believe me, I'm taking a Facebook IQ. This is I got 130. I'm actually really smart. Oh, for sure. You don't think Asian people are smarter than white people? You can acknowledge differences between races and still believe in equality? What? No, I don't believe Asian people are smarter than white people, you fucking moron. What? Dude, that's so funny. Dude, no, that's not a real thing, okay? That unironically also, look. I'm going to be as nice as possible. I'm going to be as charitable as possible to that person who just dropped that notion in here. Okay? And assume that he was just like misguided and that's why he's saying this, okay? But no, I don't think that there is one race of people that's smarter than another race of people, even on average, and it certainly it has nothing to do with race. If IQ was a well-defining metric and you could absolutely consider it, if you absolutely could like look at genes then no such studies would exist on IQ tests done on people in India over the course of like a drought season and subsequent famine versus like non-drought and better material conditions on the same exact people, where IQ points differentiate by like all the way up to 12%. It's or not 12%, by 12 points. It is ridiculous. It's completely reliant. Not only is it a silly metric for success, and I say this as someone who's dumb as fuck from an IQ point of view, I guess. Not that I know what my IQ is. I've never taken one of these tests. I just assume it's low. It's not a valid measure for it's not an accurate measure for anything. But beyond that, it's certainly idiotic to tie it back to genetics when so many environmental factors stand in the way. Just bitter about low IQ? Yeah, dude, I'm so bitter. My life is so dog shit. It's terrible, dude. Anyway. IQ stands for assault rifle. It's true. All right. So yeah, Tucker hates race realism unless he's like literally having the father of like contemporary race realism on his other show.
Racism. When they talk about whiteness, they sound very much like old-fashioned bigots. Take this guy, for example. His name is Eric Michael Dyson. He's a tenured professor at some stupid college or other. He lives in a rich, almost exclusively white neighborhood. He goes on television a lot. Watch him as he talks about race and ask yourself, honestly.
I love when people say this, when it's like, I can't believe this black person is like living in an nearly exclusively white neighborhood. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the point, dude. Like, how is that any different than being like, why aren't there that many black billionaires? Why aren't there that many successful black people? Let's not examine the socioeconomic conditions that we subjected black people to on the virtue of their race, and instead just keep asking that question and let it hang there, as though there's something inherently like wrong or bad about blackness, and that there are some intrinsic qualities that we simply cannot say because it's just a scary truth that no one wants you to discuss. No, it's just incorrect. It's literally external factors, you fucking moron. I wonder why there aren't that many black people in the probably nice neighborhood that he lives in. Let's think. Let's think for a moment. But no, because the entire purpose of this fucking broadcast from Tucker Carlson is to make you not think about those reasons, okay? That's the point. There are either internal or external reasons for why black people are in these demonstrate like a larger percentage of poor people in American statistics. Okay, like there's a reason. There has to be a reason. It's either intrinsic or extrinsic. Which are the factors? If you believe that it's external, okay, if you believe that there are outside factors, you believe in systemic racism. You believe in the structural inequality that black people were subjected to. Okay. If you believe in the intrinsic internal factors, then you're a fucking racist. It's that simple. You believe that like they have a genetic predisposition to poverty. It's that simple. It's not that hard. Just like at the top of the hour, there's a fucking 6-second ad break, and that's not that hard either. You know this. It's coming. You throw your tomatoes. But fear not, if you'd like to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour, every hour, then you can do something. That something you can do is subscribe. You can subscribe for $5, or you can subscribe for free with a Twitch Prime. by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. Now, also, you can use an ad blocker, or you can use a VPN, but there are ways. You can also admit that that was a solid-ass segue, baby. Come on. It's fine. No, but like I said already, here's the ad, by the way. That stupid college is Vanderbilt, by the way. He got his PhD from Princeton, but mentioning his real credentials isn't as helpful to Tucker, or just as delegitimizing academia. Yeah. So what I'm trying to point out here is that like this concept of racial inequality is a lot more simple than the way that like people like Tucker Carlson try to make it out to be. Obviously, there's more nuance to it. There's more context to it, and you can have that conversation in academia, as many do, right? And then Tucker will then bastardize that stuff and make it seem like people are just trying to generate white. They're just trying to make white people out to be the villains or whatever, like all white people, unconditionally. So, I guess what I am trying to say is it's a lot more simple. You can simplify it. Either there are external factors or internal factors. If you believe that if you believe that like black people are in the conditions that they're in for internal reasons, then you believe that they are genetically predisposed to violence or to be in poverty conditions, to be in lower socioeconomic conditions. If you believe in external factors, then you understand that it's systemic racism that has put them in said conditions and have made it exceptionally difficult to get out of those conditions.
If he sounds any different at all from, say, Bull Connor or David Duke, he doesn't. Only the colors have changed. Here he is.
And speaking about, the maggots, I'm sorry, the MAGA, that is so corrosive in this, political moment. And we have.
Tucker Carlson is upset that Eric Dyson, who is who has gotten way shittier throughout the years and became like such a fucking annoying lib throughout the years. Tucker Carlson getting mad at that guy, calling MAGA people maggots, is of course hilarious considering Tucker has routinely considered immigrants coming into this country, economic migrants and refugees in general and asylum seekers in general, to be dirty, and has done propaganda around that like regularly. But
stood by to see mediocre, mealy-mouthed, snowflake white men who are incapable of taking critique, who are willing to dole out infamous repudiations of the humanity of the other, and yet they call us snowflakes, and they are the biggest flakes of snow to hit the earth. They are incapable of criticism. They are incapable of tolerating difference. They're scared of, oh my God, critical race theory is going to kill your mother. And they don't even know. They're not critical. They have no race, and they don't understand theory.
White men, they're the problem. You hear that so often.
I mean, he's actually saying that conservative men across the board are fragile as fuck. And there is truth to that, considering you're behaving that way right now. I mean, it's hard not to get called out like this and then, behave. It's hard to get called out like this and then behave in a reasonable manner. Like, he just fucking nailed Tucker Carlson so hard that, of course, like, he is going to then further prove Eric Dyson's point here. So let's continue.
That you don't pause to consider what a change this is. It used to be only a few years ago that the one thing you couldn't do in America was attack people in public on the basis of their race. I don't like that group because of their skin color. Let's hurt them. You couldn't say that. It was the one unacceptable thing, and for very good reason. You cannot maintain a multiracial democracy unless people of every color have exactly the same.
But he didn't even say, like, white people. He said MAGA people, like conservative people. So he's talking about he's talking about like whiteness as a white fragility, but he literally started off with like MAGA people. Unless you jump the gun and go, oh, when you mean MAGA people, you mean all white people, then, you know, that's a bit of a self-report, I guess. But I don't think the Trump supporters represent, you know, every white person. It's kind of stupid.
Same rights and responsibilities.
If we could define what CRT is, that'd help a lot with the problem. Okay, but that's the reason why it is undefinable is also because it's purposely undefinable, as the guy who, like, is the main reason why we talk about CRT all the fucking time from the Manhattan Institute openly admitted, which is like everything and anything is CRT. That's the point. That's the issue. It's not like the actual legal analysis from a racial framework in our in our criminal justice system. It's just that it's just any time like systemic racism is mentioned, then it's CRT. That's the whole point. It's just something to be something to just like use as a catch-all term.
Under the law and are considered of precisely.
He was talking about white guy. Okay, here, let's run this again. I gotta go pee, but
you know, the maggots.
People are getting upset, but like he's starting it off by talking about the white fragility of MAGA people.
I'm sorry, the MAGA in this, you know, political moment, and we have stood by to see mediocre, mealy-mouthed, snowflake white men who are incapable of taking critique.
Like he's literally talking about MAGA people and their white fragility. Do you not understand that? He's not saying all white people are this way. I mean, there's white people on the fucking thing that he's talking to, on the panel that he's talking to,
who are willing to dole out infamous repudiations of the humanity of the other, and yet
he's just talking about Tucker Carlson. I say this all the time, by the way. When people are criticizing white fragility, there is no reason to take ownership of that. If it does not pertain to you, just like I, as a white passing or white person, never feel as though like white fragility criticisms extend to someone like myself, because I don't feel it. Like, so you are taking on that criticism on your own and saying, oh no, actually he's talking about me. And then unironically, you know, feeding into the meme of white fragility by being overly fragile about something that is not even about you. Okay?
Call us snowflakes, and they are the biggest flakes of snow to hit the earth. They are incapable of criticism. They are incapable of tolerating difference. They're scared of, oh my God, critical race theory is going to kill your mother. And they don't even know. They're not critical. They have no race, and they don't understand theory.
That's it. Like, you're engaging in a self-report when you're like, oh, he's talking about me and now I'm upset. Okay? He's not talking about you, dude. And by the way, people do that sometimes and I get fucking mad. When people are like, no, actually, as a white person, like as a white, you are also a part of this. And you as a white have no say in this circumstance. Like in this conversation, like see yourself out of it. Then it's like, no, I will not see myself out of it. Ridiculous. How many times have I fucking criticized this shit?
White men, they're the problem. You hear that so often that you don't pause to consider what a change this is. It used to be only a few years ago that the one thing you couldn't do in America was attack people in public on the basis of their race. I don't like that group because of their skin color. Let's hurt them. You couldn't say that. It was the one unacceptable
Well, that's interesting because he didn't say that, but
thing,
okay.
and for very good reason.
But of course, to someone with to someone with privilege, equality feels like oppression, right? Famous critical race theorist MLK said that. But he's of course good, because he said he has a dream that white people and black people should not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. So he said that. So let's avoid everything else that he said. We literally did that after 9/11. What? Okay. So famously assassinated by the FBI, CRT. What I find to be rather strange about this argument itself is, actually, fuck it, I just gotta go pee. I can't hold it in anymore. I'll be back in a second.
You cannot maintain a multiracial democracy unless people of every color have exactly the same rights and responsibilities under the law and are considered of precisely the same moral value under God. You have to have that. That's the most basic prerequisite for a multiracial democracy. All lives have to matter, or it cannot work. It's pretty clear that our leadership class, for whatever reason, doesn't want it to work. Obviously, they don't. Look at what they're doing. When you hear people ascribe blood guilt to a specific racial group, when you hear them talk about the sin of whiteness, what you're watching is the death of our future as a country. We can't live in a nation of warring tribes. We know very well what that looks like because it's the history of the world. It's miserable and vicious and bloody. We can't allow that. Most Americans of all colors on some level understand this. They don't always have the words to articulate it, but they know it. When their kids come home from school with assignments to suggest that all races are not in fact equal, that some races are guilty and some are innocent, that some groups are oppressors inherently and others are inherently oppressed. In the universities, this is called critical race theory, so that's the term that most people go with. Critical race theory. That's what we so often debate on television. That's the clip we just showed you. But critical race theory is an inaccurate way to describe what's happening. Like so much academic jargon, the phrase critical race theory doesn't mean anything.
Okay, what I was going to say before I went to pee was, the irony is what Tucker Carlson is doing here when he bastardizes what Michael Eric Dyson is saying is exactly at the heart of the when you have privilege, equality feels like oppression. Because if he turned around and said you could never separate people on the virtue of race, and then actually directly analogized what Michael Eric Dyson was saying, he had to turn around and be like, what Michael Eric Dyson is saying is just like saying you should kill all black people. That's not what he said. So if you consider the mere mention of white fragility to be akin to saying kill all black people, then you're literally proving his fucking point about white fragility. That was what I was going to say. Sorry. Okay? That's it. That's the fucking irony there.
And for very good reason. You cannot maintain a multiracial democracy unless people of every color have exactly the same rights and responsibilities under the law and are considered of precisely the same moral value under God. You have to have that. That's the most basic prerequisite for a multiracial democracy. All lives have to matter, or it cannot work. It's pretty clear that our leadership class, for whatever reason, doesn't want it to work. Obviously, they don't. Look at what they're doing. When you hear people ascribe blood guilt to a specific racial group, when you hear them talk about the sin of whiteness, what you're watching is the death of our future as a country. We can't live in a nation of warring tribes. We know very well what that looks like because it's the history of the world. It's miserable and vicious and bloody. We can't allow that. Most Americans of all colors on some level understand this. They don't always have the words to articulate it, but they know it. When their kids come home from school with assignments to suggest that all races are not in fact equal, that some races are guilty and some are innocent, that some groups are oppressors inherently and others are inherently oppressed. In the universities, this is called critical race theory. So that's the term that...
Okay, I get so upset about this this rhetoric. Are there people who fucking unironically believe that? Sure, there are. But it's not the fucking dominant position, okay? And it's certainly not what people are fucking teaching, and it's not even what critical race theory is supposed to be. He's 100% correct, and chat doesn't like hearing truths get rolled. What? What are the truths? That white people are inherently oppressive? Is that what you're saying? Dumbass.
That most people go with. Critical race theory. That's what we so often debate on television. That's a clip we just showed you.
The problem is, Tucker plays fast and loose with historically and inherently, as the chatter also pointed out. No one is saying white people are genetically dominant or inherently dominant and have to be dominant. And that's why they're doing racist things. Okay? They're saying historically white people have dominated. And the impact of that, which, by the way, everyone will agree to that throughout history. Only select few, like Tucker Carlson, will turn around and act like that's not fucking true. Okay? There's nothing inherent about it. There's nothing genetic about that. And it can change. And the first step towards changing that, especially because that system of domination is so pervasive that it still has a lasting impact on contemporary existence. But changing that system comes from learning about the history so that everyone can at least recognize it. Okay?
But critical race theory is an inaccurate way to describe what's happening. Like so much academic jargon, the phrase critical race theory doesn't mean anything. It obscures rather than illuminates. It is designed that way. It is designed to confuse you. What's happening in our schools and our military and our government is both simpler and easier to recognize than that. It's not critical race theory. It's racism. Not neo-racism or reverse racism. Those are meaningless terms. It is race hate. It is peddled by the people in charge in the hope that it will make them more...
Bro, this is so fucking stupid. Like, an analysis of... A critical analysis from a racial point of view and racial oppression throughout history is not creating racism. It is literally to stop more racist fucking people from existing. Okay? Like, if adequately representing history makes you feel like is going to breed more fucking resentment towards white people, then now I understand why you don't want people to adequately understand history. Because you don't want people to recognize what white people have done. But the reality is, like, it's not supposed to create resentment. What it's supposed to do is create less resentment from white people towards black people so that we can understand our shared history and conflict and struggle throughout time so that we can make the future better. But of course, the reason why Tucker Carlson does not want people to be informed about America's racist history or the world's racist history is because he wants to act like it no longer is important, that was in the past, and don't learn too much about it lest you start feeling differently about the reason why black people are still subjected to the conditions that they're subjected to. Because it would shatter the worldview of so many people.
More powerful. That's all it is. We haven't said that often enough or clearly enough. And because we haven't, because we've been tied up in some pointless debate about a concept that nobody can actually define, the race hate, and that's what it is, has oozed from the universities and it has infected the entire country, including at the very highest levels. Mark Milley is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He didn't get that job because he's brilliant or because he's brave or because the people who know him respect him. He is not, and they definitely don't. Milley got the job because he is obsequious. He knows who to suck up to, and he's more than happy to do it. Feed him a script, and he will read it. Here's Milley yesterday, the man in charge of this nation's weapons, explaining that he's working to understand a concept called white rage.
I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And the United States Military Academy is a university. And it is important that we train and we understand. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand.
Kind of funny, like, how quickly Tucker shits on veterans and the military. Like, remember, Tammy Duckworth, like, got absolutely, like, Tucker Carlson literally straight up said, like, her disability was faked, pretty much, or, like, that she was incapable. He does this shit all the time. He's able to do that. He's able to do that because he's a conservative. Conservatives love the military, you know?
Understand that because our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians, they come from the American people. So it is important that the leaders now and in the future do understand it.
Hard to believe that man wears a uniform. He's that unimpressive. Notice he never defined white rage, and we should know what it is. What is white rage? Well, like drapetomania, it's one of those diseases that only affect people with certain melanin levels. It's a race-specific...
It's literally not, dude. It's not a fucking race-realist medical condition. Why the fuck is Tucker Carlson making it seem like people are treating white rage as though it's like anything beyond a social term created by those who like are studying social sciences? Oh my fucking God. Unironically, Tucker needs some critical race theory, I guess, to understand. If I, a brown lefty Muslim immigrant, had opened my MSNBC show last Sunday by calling America's top general a pig and stupid, saying he wasn't fit to wear the uniform, comparing America to Rwanda, the right would be demanding I be fired and calling me a traitor. But Tucker, yeah, that's true. I mean, it's 100% true.
Specific illness. That's what Mark Milley has learned from reading about it. That's why he's making his soldiers read about it too. They need to know. Watch.
I've read Mao Zedong. I've read Karl Marx. I've read Lenin. That doesn't make me a communist. So what is wrong with understanding, having some situational understanding about the country for which we are here to defend? And I personally find it offensive that we are accusing the United States military, our general officers, our commissioned, non-commissioned officers, of being, quote, woke.
He's not just a pig, he's stupid. So Mark Milley reads Mao to understand Maoism. He reads communist to understand communism. But it's interesting that he doesn't read white supremacists to understand white supremacy. Why not go to the source? Well, because Mark Milley would be fired instantly if he read those books. And getting fired is the one thing he doesn't want.
Yo. For the record, this is why I think it's so fucking stupid whenever centrists and neoliberals liken communism as an economic organization or Marxism as an economic theory to Nazism and fascism, which is built upon racial boundaries, racial resentment. And there is a completely separate designation for it, considering that it's not grounded within dialectical materialism at all. This is why Tucker Carlson can get away with saying such fucking laughable and idiotic things. Tucker Carlson hilariously is saying, like, you know, you'd get fired if you read Mein Kampf. You know, maybe you should read Mein Kampf. Cool, okay.
So he reads about white rage as if it's totally real. It's a medical condition. And by the way, since it's a medical condition, at what age can you catch white rage, by the way? Most of us assume
it's not. No one has said that white rage is a medical condition. Absolutely zero people are saying that white rage is a medical condition except for Tucker Carlson. And now the fucking morons that listen to Tucker Carlson. White rage is not a medical condition. No one has said this. But the reason why Tucker Carlson has to say this over and over again is because he's building a fucking faulty premise here and making a faulty analogy. Okay? Tucker Carlson might have a medical condition, but I don't think it's white rage as a medical condition. He certainly is demonstrating some white fragility and white rage, though.
That our 2-year-olds were just teething. Now we know it's their whiteness that's making them so angry. Thanks, Mark Milley. We appreciate your contribution to our generation's scientific racism. By the way, have you read anything recently about winning wars? Apparently not. We could go on and on and on. Pundit after senator, after professor, after general.
I love that, like, by the way, he's not even wrong about that. So it's kind of funny that conservatives now unironically keep saying that, like, America's military keeps losing wars. It's fucking true. But also, like, it's kind of funny that, like, Matt Gaetz said this exact same thing, too. Like, he was like, maybe that's why. Maybe because they're reading critical race theory that our fucking military keeps losing wars, bro. It's like, I mean, they're not wrong, but I also find it really weird that these, like, esteemed patriots keep fucking saying, like, the military's full of L nerds. That's great. I mean, welcome. Welcome to the resistance, Tucker Carlson.
Each one of them spewing race hate, whiteness, white rage, dressed up as some new academic theory. We certainly have the tape. We'll spare you because you've seen it. It's everywhere. The question is, and this is the question that we should be meditating on day in and day out, is how do we get out of this vortex, this cycle, before it's too late? How do we save this country before we...
By the way, the American military loses wars on purpose. Okay? It's because it's significantly more profitable that way. They don't give a fuck how many people die in the process, as long as the military-industrial complex is, you know, getting their gears oiled and making more money. So in that sense, they are winning from a capitalist point of view. Ironically, Tucker would know more about this if he read Lenin. But I guess reading Lenin doesn't stop you from being an imperialist warmonger, as General Milley and his existence also points out. So, you know, just remember that, theory nerds.
We become Rwanda. What should we be teaching our children so that before it's too late? How do we save this country before we become Rwanda?
Rwanda is Rwanda, not because of, like, foreign policy of other nations, imperialism, anything like that, but because they read too much critical race theory.
What should we be teaching our children so they can live in the country that you want to live in? A country full of many different kinds of people, many different, but who actually like each other, who are happy to work together, who are united ultimately by the core fact, which is they're all Americans. That is the question.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
I love this, dude. What an incredible, insightful analysis from Tucker Carlson. It's great. There's a lot of stuff here I'm not going to, you know, go through, but because we've already done so much. This guy's the biggest piece of shit, Tucker Carlson, that is. Oh, yeah. Nobody cool likes Tucker Carlson.
Your response when you see children wearing masks as they play should be no different from your response to seeing someone beat a kid in Walmart.
Call the police immediately.
What the fuck is this?
Nobody cool likes Tucker Carlson. Nobody cool likes Tucker Carlson. Nobody cool likes Tucker Carlson. If you like Tucker Carlson, then you're not cool. Cause nobody cool likes Tucker Carlson. Only a fool would like Tucker Carlson. Nobody cool likes Tucker Carlson. no way. Tucker Carlson, nobody who's even a little bit cool would say they don't think you're a total tool. Nobody cool likes Tucker Carlson. Nobody cool likes Tucker Carlson. Nobody cool likes Tucker Carlson. Tucker, you're the worst.
I mean, it's true. It's a little bit. It's like Walmart Bo Burnham a little bit, but hey, this would convert kids in the pipeline. What? Sounds pretty good too. Good message. I'll allow it. Okay, let's watch. What started the cultural fixation on gender?
The Joe Rogan Experience.
What is going on today where this is such a hot topic? Like, what has happened? I mean, what has been the shift in our culture? Can you find a patient zero? Was there an initial explosion that led to the domino effect? Like, what is it that's leading to such an utter fascination culture-wide about gender and sex now? It's like these are the big hot topics of today. It's gender, sex, race, and those things seem to, I guess, also sexual orientation, gender, sex, race, sexual orientation. Those three. I mean, those four. It's just unprecedented in our time that these are the most widely talked about subjects across the board with young people. And people that are virtue signaling and people that want to be, air quotes, woke. Like, what's causing this, Colin? Help us out.
I don't understand. Like, does Joe Rogan not believe that there are, like, biologists out there and, academics out there that fucking believe in trans existence? Like, how come it's always people who, like, write for Quillette? How come it's always people who are, like, edge cases that extend beyond their base of knowledge as it pertains to gender that, he has on his show? What's up with that? It's so weird. I just think it's so strange. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know that there are experts that could clarify this question and give him a pretty accurate an accurate answer. Like, you have to be trying extra hard to find biologists that are not accepting of trans people and think that, like, gender and biology are especially for, like, human beings is just absolutely intertwined. And that there is only a binary. Good luck. Which Joe Rogan has had pretty much all of them, for the record. Like, every single fucking biologist that has a point of view like this will let it be known so that they then can write books and get a lot of hatred and go on their media tours and go on Joe Rogan so they can launch a separate career. And Joe Rogan will always have them on. I've never heard open-minded Joe Rogan have a single fucking person that simultaneously is a biologist who also understands that gender is a social construct. Like, nearly all of them are like this, by the way. So why? I'm not even saying have a social science academic talk about, like, gender studies. I'm simply stating, have a fucking biologist who will adequately explain to you that gender is a social construct.
It's something I've been tracking for quite some time.
Like a bounty hunter?
Yes, exactly. Well, I was always, so I started off in, like, the new atheist movement.
Oh, because most people don't think that? Really? Most people don't think that gender is a social construct? Really? That's really strange. Because it is inherently anti-biology to assume that, like, there is a rigid binary as it pertains to gender, because every fucking biologist would tell you, unless they are a freak reactionary propagandist, that, gender is not a binary at all. Even Ben Shapiro no longer says gender is a binary. If you notice, he'll talk about how it's two two poles. It's like what is the term for it? I forget. Holy shit, you think 75 million people or whatever believe it's non-binary? What? Gender is literally not even in the like biological definition. If you are to consider sex and gender, if you are to think about gender as like biological gender, it's not fucking it's not a binary. There are intersex people. There are more intersex people on this planet than there are gingers. So, like, there is no argument where it's just man, woman. That does not exist. That's not a real argument. Even Ben Shapiro now admits it's bimodal rather than just a binary. He had to change his argument because it's just not true. And too many people dunked on him.
And I was arguing against creationists and stuff and defending biological realities. And then that movement kind of dissipated, or at least is not nearly as prevalent, and they don't hold
What
as
happened
much
with
power.
the new? There was, I think it's
they just lost the
atheism
argument.
plus.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually an interesting segue between atheism plus and the modern social justice movement as we see it now. I mean,
for sure.
Atheism was the first movement to be infiltrated by all the language we're hearing now of, appropriation and the whole, check your privilege and
Well, I remember
all that
that
stuff. Yeah,
I
it had
remember
to do with-
watching Atheism Plus conferences online going,
Yeah.
this is like the craziest virtue signaling event that I've ever seen in my life. Because it's people that don't just want to talk about the concept of agnostic thinking or atheism. They want to also attribute a bunch of social values to this movement that makes it kind of like a religion.
Have you heard of...
I personally think that, like, the anti-theists that are incredibly fucking cringe treat atheism as a religion significantly more and, like, proselytize and behave as, like, missionaries for atheism a lot more than, like, chill atheists who are just, like, that don't believe that God is real. It's a... So I don't know why he thinks that it's the opposite. And it's like, the problem with atheism is that it went too woke. Not that, like, so many of them became, like, weirdo fucking white nationalists.
Of Elevator Gate?
Yes.
With Richard Dawkins involved in that whole...
Yes.
Yeah, that was sort of the thing that sparked off, in a big way, the rise of a lot of social justice stuff and the fall.
Could you explain it to people that don't know what it was about?
Yeah, it was a while ago. Let me see if I can outline it a bit here. So there had been some...
I like chill anti-racists who those who don't actually do anything about it just think it's bad. Yeah, because racism is the same as religion. I know. You are literally one of the anti-theists I'm talking about that is, like, unironically cringe as fuck, okay? You think your mission is literally the maybe not, like, God ordained, but you think your mission is for an overall good. And that overall good? Yelling at fucking Christian people, no matter what. Like, yeah, dude. Just like anti-racism is when you fucking, like, these people, if you were to ask these people, like, do you think you're tackling racism as a systemic issue when you turn around and, like, yell at someone for a microaggression? They would say no. Except the fucking cringe-ass r/atheist, anti-theist Andes will literally fucking do that all the time and think they're engaging in a worthy cause. Okay? You're literally doing that. You're doing the thing that you fucking get mad at.
Complaints at a lot of atheist conferences where there'd been people complaining of sexual harassment, and there was one specific example. There was a speaker, her name was Rebecca Watson. She went by Skepchick, and she was giving a talk at this conference specifically addressing sexism in the atheist movement, and I think she might have said that she wasn't interested in
The crazy militant atheist is a straw man created by pretentious progressives to put themselves above other teams of people that also piss off the right. Atheists are shit on because of low-hanging fruit. Yeah. Has nothing to do with the likes of literally fucking Sam Harris, which we just talked about in the previous fucking thing that I was covering, for having someone as reactionary and as horrifying as fucking Charles Murray on and then defending it. Yeah. No, totally. No racism there, dude. Not at all. Not at all, dude.
You know, hooking up at conferences or whatever. And then on the way back to her hotel later that night, she went into the elevator, and then someone went in the elevator with her. It was a guy. And as they were going up in the elevator...
What the fuck does Sam Harris being racist have to do with militant atheism? Everything. Sam Harris and so many other, like, famous atheists, unironically, under the Obama administration, went from being, like, people who criticize religion to people who, like, hyper-focused on how Islamophobia wasn't a real thing and should not exist, and it's actually normal to be terrified of fucking brown people and assume that they're Muslim, and that all Muslims are fundamentalist, and that Muslim fundamentalism is destroying Western civilization. Do you not understand this? How have you been in this community for so long, and you still cannot comprehend how much r/atheism type atheism unironically turned into the weirdo fucking Sargon of Akkad alt-right pipeline that we see today? There's like 3 fucking creators from that very same circuit that have turned around and have reformed their perspectives. Nereye? Geri gelmeyecek misin? Kaçta geleceksin geri? Oh, okay. Okay. The intellectual dark web is like a great example. Is littered with people like this. Okay? There are plenty of fucking nice atheists, by the way. And there are nice agnostics as well. What I'm talking about is a specific subset. I'm not saying all fucking atheists are this way, but y'all are getting fucking real defensive, dude. Some of you are getting real fucking defensive. Why? It's the same concept as white fragility.
He looked over at her and just asked her if she'd like to come back to his room for a cup of coffee. I was like, that's literally what he said. But that's, you know, that's a euphemism for you want to come back and
Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill, yeah. And so she said no. He didn't pursue anymore. They went off to their separate rooms. Everything was fine. The next day on social media, she blows up the internet trying to say that how terrible this was, how she felt so uncomfortable in the elevator. It was in a tight spot, you know, small elevator, and this how threatened that she was. And it became a really big sort of fissure in the atheist movement because some people were saying like nothing really happened. They just used a euphemism for, you know, they asked you politely if you wanted to come back and do more. You said no, like that's the end of the story.
The same way you get defensive when they talk about religious people? Yes. Because I don't think fucking religious people are automatically bad by default. I don't think all atheist people are automatically bad by default. Am I a religious person, you fucking moron? Do I strike you as a religious person in any fucking capacity? How many times do I have to talk about how I'm culturally Muslim? Okay? In a similar way to like American Protestants or Reformed Jews that like don't believe in fucking any aspect of religion or organized religion at all. That are otherwise agnostic. You think all anti-theists are bad by default, though? No, I don't. I think that anti-theism, in the way that it fucking works, literally operates on the on the basis of like shitting on random religious people and people that believe in like spirituality and shit. I've talked about this a million times over. Okay? Religion being used as a weapon, as a justification to harm others is completely fucking unacceptable. But ultimately, spiritual guidance is something that people look towards. Not everyone is as hyper-logical and hyper-rational as you are. And there are plenty of people who are still hyper-logical and hyper-rational that believe in fucking capitalism as an ethical system. Okay? So Everybody believes in dumb shit all the fucking time. To vilify an entirety, like to vilify people or to infantilize them, to treat them like children because they believe in shit that you don't believe in is so strange to me. And it's also unproductive and unhelpful in building a fucking coalition. Okay? You get it? Religion is just like any other fucking ideology. The only difference is that it's pervasive and it's powerful. It can be used for good. It can be used for bad. In a lot of circumstances throughout history, it has been used for bad. Okay? I acknowledge that. I admit that. It would be stupid and ahistoric to not admit that. But to claim that religion is like the single reason why all of the conflicts throughout civilization exist is so idiotic. You are a fucking baby, dude. You are literally baby-brained. It's like the same as thinking Trump is a religious person. When it comes to criticizing America and white people's behavior or conservatism, because of how personal it is for a lot of you, you can parse through that. You can segment it appropriately. But when it comes to people overseas, far away, that you have an inherently Orientalist perspective on, such as Muslims, it is so easy to get into this monolithic way of thinking that they are all fundamentalist, inherently reactionary, that there aren't progressive Muslims living in Muslim countries or progressive atheists, but they're still living in fucking Muslim countries that are actively and deliberately trying to fight against their own governments to make it more tolerant and more progressive. Well, the other counter forces to that, the counterbalance to that, is reactionary people utilizing religion as a weapon to galvanize their base in a similar capacity to how you see Donald Trump here in America. People always talk about how much they love Martin Luther King, but forget that he was irreverent. Religion has been also in the forefront. Religion has been utilized to justify white supremacy and slavery and continue that awful trade. But religion has also been in the forefront of the abolitionist movement. It is just an ideology, a weapon to be wielded, and a lot of people are bad and use it for bad purposes. Okay? Please stop. It's a baby-like way of thinking.
Story. And then there was this atheist named P.Z. Myers who's since sort of lost his mind. And on his blog, he was talking about this event. And then Richard Dawkins in the comment section wrote what's known as the Dear Muslima letter, which is he was writing a sarcastic response to this as though he was addressing some random Muslim woman saying, like, you know, Dear Muslima, you have no right to complain about how you're treated, you know, having your genitals mutilated or whatever, because haven't you heard this one woman, her name is Skepchick, you know, she was offered coffee at an elevator and she said no, and the guy didn't do anything after that. So it was a very sarcastic way he approached that, and then that just made the whole atheist movement just get engulfed in flames immediately. It was all the factions split up between the super woke people and the classic skeptics. And yeah, it never recovered really. And right after that is when Atheism Plus came out, which was Atheism Plus Social Justice, which really just was woke Democrats who happened to be atheists, basically, and all the new conference topics.
No, you're just riding the current meta wave of shitting on all atheists under the guise of some stupid atheist strawman that you bring up at every possible opportunity. Yeah, tell me how you only started watching me for the past 26 months that you've subscribed to me on Twitch without telling me exactly that. Dude, you know how many times those fucking cringe lord atheist weirdos have shit on me over and over again for the entire duration of my like political commentary career. This is like, people say I love terrorism for this point of view that I've held on to for a very long time. Where is this fucking movement, dude? Focus Champus is consistently one of the dumbest people in this community. He always is consistently stupid. Whenever white fragility gets mentioned, he gets triggered. So I'm doing a double feature for him right now. We started off with white fragility. He got triggered already. And then now I'm talking about atheism. So he's like doubly triggered. He has to fucking say stupid shit.
Were just like intersectionality and maybe some vague reference to, you know, disbelief or something. So the atheist movement never recovered from that. It's gone downhill. And now we've seen how the same type of activism has moved in and taken over, you know, Evergreen State College, and has led to what Brett and Heather have gone through.
Dude, this is so funny. I'm sorry, but Evergreen State College, really? You're still talking about this, dude? Like, dude, this shit, like, bro, these people are so desperate to, like, go back to the glory days of, like, when all of the IDW was popping off. Didn't Brett Weinstein unironically tweet, like, yesterday that, you know, he could get suicided next? Like, McAfee? Some crazy shit like that. They're so desperate. They are clawing for relevance, dude. They are literally clawing for fucking relevance. So incredibly desperately.
Through, and then it sort of erupted all over the country, and what we're seeing now. So that was sort of the canary in the coal mine for a lot of what we're seeing now. And
what do you think is causing it?
Follow all the people follow all the following people to bury the hatches, to put aside the pettiness. Make life harder for bad actors. Follow all these people and stop bitching about small stuff. The nucleus is going to come under attack. There are a lot of courageous people out there. Help them spread the risk. Core is not so vulnerable. Wait, no, not this. I'm not talking about this. Many more to come. Thumbs too tired. These guys are so pathetic, bro. What is this? This person, official McAfee, who reached out to me, obsessed about not being suicidal like Jeffrey Epstein, is categorically the same as the person described hours before his death by his wife here. Dude. Oh, God. We're going to talk about McAfee in a little bit. I don't know, Nassim, because you stood for me over a decade, no matter how disappointed you are. Maybe no, is it? Correlation implies causation. We are grown men and women wasting our lives arguing over whether we hate each other. Stop. Find Lago. Dude, this guy is having like a breakdown. Many are having this reaction to Dave or to Sam or Mike or Joe. You're angry that I haven't said Anakachian or K. Melly when I said clearly more to come. Enough. No one goes under the bus. Get pissed at me. Fine. I have a 24/7 hater ecosystem, but no one else on the list. I love Rubin Report, despite the growing apart politically. So just unfollow me if you'd like. Dude, this guy's oppression is literally fucking Twitter follows and unfollows, dude. I mean, what the fuck is Emo Andy doing over here? Go ahead. Unfollow me. Anyway. Read Nassim Talib's response. It was hilarious. What did he say? Why the fuck are you putting me in the same category as Ben Shapiro, who is a total charlatan? Oh. I'm scared, and I need friends who can fight. I don't know, Nassim, because you've stood by me for over a decade, no matter how disappointed you may have been in me at times, and I've told everyone how much I admire you. I thought maybe I'd point to you in your wisdom to lead, and I'm scared, and I need friends who can fight. Maybe I'm trying to lead until someone with more courage and executive functioning and charisma becomes available. Maybe the private Ben is not the public one, and he has courage and decency. Wait, wouldn't that imply that he is a fucking little shitter? At best, a dangerous propagandist. At worst, a coward who can't reveal his true feelings. If it's different. What is he leading, bro? What is Eric Weinstein leading still? God, dude, Joe Rogan... The Joe Rogan ecosystem is so fragile. Like, the moment that they can't go back on Joe Rogan is the moment that, like, their entire economy falls apart. So they have to claw on to relevancy in whatever way they can. Maybe I worry McAfee just got whacked and was obsessed with making his killing matter. What? And was obsessed with making his killing matter? Maybe he just let us know that it is easier to say correlation doesn't imply causation. Okay. I don't want to give it away. I wanted to make it seem like there was mystery behind like John McAfee dying. But I have to point this out. Like, John McAfee wishes he was murdered by the government. Okay? Sorry. Like, love the guy, okay? I followed him, and I have celebrated his psychotic behavior for many years. You know this. Some people thought it was a good own to, like, point to my tweet about him whale fucking. He's batshit crazy, okay? And I love it. I think it's very entertaining. I think we should let people be batshit fucking crazy. But this notion that he was whacked, like similar to Jeffrey Epstein, he wishes that was the case, okay? You're wild. I would have an easier time believing that he killed himself while simultaneously making it seem like, he was going to get murdered by the government, just as like one last big troll, okay? $100%. No fucking shot. And I said just as much like a couple days ago when the situation first came to light, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? The situation surrounding John McAfee's death is shrouded in mystery." Like, what? You think he fucking killed himself because he was doing tax evasion? He was about to be extradited to the United States of America, dude. Like, oh wow, dude. For fucking tax evasion? That's why that was the big fucking mystery? Come on, boys. Wild to think that, like, you deeply do not understand John McAfee if you think he was like, if you think that he was murdered, okay? You don't. Have you seen the Jenna Friedman interview with McAfee? It's hilarious. No. I would have an easier time believing that he faked his own death so that he could, like, evade the authorities rather than get fucking murdered. Okay, we'll watch that interview.